Hello there. We're in the middle of a talk about 1970s Marvel TV show.
Yeah, and here's the thing. So, if I was comparing Spider-Man to Manimal, which had the same transformation scene, and here's the thing: I could have made Doctor Octopus work if we always showed the same scenes with the tentacles. And
Well,
the guy, when the guy was on the harness, the tentacles would never move. When the tentacles would move, we would see a tentacle move like this.
yes, there was enough things going on at that time. So we have the Spider-Man 77 is what the new name for it is. You have the Hulk, but as far as superhero movies are concerned, you had better choices like the $6 Million Man.
Yeah,
Because you had, it was all still cop dramas,
right.
the villain of the week type of thing, but there was so much more going on. And again, in this time period, you had ISIS and you had Shazam. So they were superhero stuff going on, but I just don't know why Spider-Man went the way it went.
I can, like I said, I was 10 or 11 in 77, and I pretty much ignored Spider Man because even at that young age, I knew it wasn't Spider Man.
Right.
It was a watered down TV version of Spider Man.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Very much so.
Aunt May was barely a background character.
Yeah.
Jameson did not act like Jameson. We
Mhm.
Hmm.
didn't have Robbie Robertson. We didn't have Ned Leeds. We didn't have.
Through the
I mean,
series, he had different actors were playing in the Daily Bugle.
mhm.
And so you did get a better Jameson later, but not by much.
And
Yeah,
He wasn't the same as we're used to.
one of the reasons I didn't like those,
hey, Missy
um,
Mars, what's up? It's
oh
Labor Day.
yeah,
Welcome.
Labor Day weekend. I almost forgot.
Hmm.
uh, um, like one of the reasons I never liked superhero TV shows.
And Donald
Hello
Rex, what's
there,
up?
Donald. Who
Hello.
can't? Who's not getting a return email from Mort Todd um, about Charlton Comics. But like I said, one of the we'll talk about Mort later.
Right.
One of the reasons I never liked is all the superhero shows. They didn't use their powers until the climax of the show. Like the last 10 minutes is when you got to action. And if
Right.
you're a kid superhero fan, that's just not enough. It's just like, they're not gonna do anything. All show. And then in the last 10 minutes, there's gonna be some superpowers. Very limited.
Right.
Mhm.
Yes.
Well, you have to
So
account for two things. Number one, budget for action scenes. Number
Hmm.
two, the actors want to act,
Yeah.
which is not why we watch superhero stuff.
I
right.
understood the budget for action scenes part that even in those days. I did not have any clue that the actors wanted to act.
Yeah,
Oh, they
not at
always
all.
do.
And
Yeah.
it's watching old shows like that, it's like, oh, they're taking so long. Like, do I need to see him actually in real time make a cup of coffee? Stuff like that would go on these shows where it's like you're just running it long. You could edit this to a half an hour, fast paced kind of a show. But again, it's what we had. It's all that I knew at the time because Superman as a movie hasn't come out,
and
or when I first saw it. And again, before that, what do we have? We have Batman, and
Mhm.
that seemed to go that you would eventually get so you get this part, and then this part. You get to realize that this is going to be one of those to be continues. And if you're lucky, maybe you see it. Sometimes you just don't.
Yeah, Batman blackout fight scenes to save money in the last season. Yeah,
Yeah, but this like just to show the people. So
this
this
is
all
what
stems
started us on
from
this
it started.
conversation.
I,
whoops. Hello.
I'm good. I we finally got our I bought one for my brother, so that's why I'm saying we finally got our copies or our actual figures from Hasbro. Well, actually, I bought it from Walmart, and this is pretty much the live action Channel 2 Spider Man or CBS, depending where it was shown. And it's the Nicholas Hammond Spider Man.
What are those spiders' webs on the front? Are they just decoration, or are they webs that?
These are web pieces that okay. So you have a rope. They gave
Okay.
actually a rope web for him to hold, and then on the other side are these web splashes that you could put like on top of the character.
Yeah, because
Okay.
you remember when he shot webs, they were nets.
Yeah. And so it's funny because the other Spider-Man figures will come with a plastic spider web, but this one they actually gave us an actual string web, which is kind of neat uh, in itself to really go with the theme of the old TV show. So I'm
Yeah.
excited to have
When
that.
I think, yeah. Yeah. Speaking of budgets, I just know that the budgets for converting the van in the A Team were bigger than the budgets for any episode in the Spider-Man TV series
Very much so.
because they
Very much so.
because they kept reconstructing the van in
Yes,
every
or
episode.
they kept building something. Yeah. Oh yeah, the shows had changed over the years. You know, I haven't sat down and done like a list of, what other superhero shows and where did the money start coming in? Because you have Spider-Man and the Hulk and Wonder Woman are all CBS programming. Then I think Batman might have been CBS. I'm not positive. And then Batman's a whole other can of worms within itself. Why, who technically owns Batman? Now is for television is technically Disney because they bought Fox and this whole deal that they went with. But as far as television shows are concerned, I count the Bionic Man and Bionic Woman as part of like superhero stuff. And then you have the Saturday morning live action superhero stuff, which is ISIS, Shazam, and then some stuff that spinned off from the Sid and Marty Krofft ages, which is Dinah Woman and Electric Girl and stuff like that. But those
Electro
are
Woman
really,
and Dinah Girl.
yes, so those are really more focused to children. And
Yeah.
so, you had the bright colors. And I think those episodes are probably half an hour long as well. And then once you get Hulk and Spider-Man, Wonder Woman, it's a little more um, adult, only in the sense of the seriousness as a superhero can be. Because Wonder Woman originally was going to be as campy as Batman. Test audience didn't like it, and it went away. And then when they brought back the Linda Carter one, they were going for that, I guess, that more adultish audience that's going to want cop drama, because that's basically what these shows was cops chasing the Hulk and then cops showing up in the Spider-Man stuff. And the $6 Million Man, Bionic Woman, those are more leftovers from the spy era with super spy type stuff.
Here's a weird thought.
Okay, Batman 60s TV show is ABC, so it's still Disney.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
Here's a weird thought. Me watching, me as a kid in the 70s, watching the Superman TV show from the 50s. It's like
Yeah.
a kid today watching a show from the early 2000s.
That one was enjoyable. I liked that one, especially when it went into color.
Yeah.
And that one, I think it was
But it
because,
seemed so old when I was a kid.
yeah. But again, it was like, around here, they would play it before or after Batman in reruns. So it's like, so you got kind of like Batman, Superman team up without being a team up kind of a
Mhm.
thing. But I did, you're sitting there, it's like, yeah, this is old, but I didn't mind it. It
Oh,
didn't
no, I
bother me
enjoyed it. But I wonder if,
as anything.
this is another thought. I wonder if today's kids can tell it's that old. Like, we could tell because it was black and white, and we could tell because of the effects, which
Right.
were, guys standing there like this with, the sky going behind them. Like,
Yes.
do today's kids see like special effects from 20 years ago, 20, 25 years ago, and go, "Oh my goodness, that's so cheesy." I've never paid that close attention to special effects, so I don't know.
Well, they probably can tell that it was
Yeah,
cheesy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's still a few movies that can hold up, and sometimes, really depending on the person, they may
yeah,
enjoy it for being that kind of cheesy.
right.
Like I did not really go any further back to try to watch older movies. I just can't sit through them, especially the serials. I tried to. I
Hmm.
try to watch Shazam. It's interesting. He cares nothing about people. He's killing people left and right. But when it comes to the flying effect, they were kind of clever. They had this cardboard cutout on a string, and when it's moving quickly, you can't tell what it is.
Hmm.
So it's a side shot, and you see the cape flowing, but you don't know what it is. For some of the Supermans, they animated it just so they had something there. So it's interesting to watch that type of stuff now because of what they did with it. The Batman is fascinating to watch because they are very good at giving you a cliffhanger, and you're racking your brain trying to figure out, well, how is he going to get out of this? And cleverly they go, well, 5 minutes before he got thrown out the window, here's something you didn't see. He had a fight with this other guy who took his costume, and that's the guy that fell out the window and died. And it was like, what? So, in itself, it's interesting to watch those. So I think probably kids today will watch it with that kind of mindset that I had trying to watch the serials, where it's like, I've watched Flash Gordon, and I've watched a bit of Buck Rogers, and how completely different it is. But it's funny that they're both played by Buster Crabbe, who eventually appears in the '80s Buck Rogers TV show, which again, in my mind, I consider that also part of that superhero time stuff. So again, being a little serious, not too serious, going towards um, going towards what we got with the A Team in the '80s, and then it's quiet, I guess you could say, again, with like little shows will pop up, try to be a superhero type show, and not stay too long, and then it isn't until you get Batman, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, everything now has to be dark and dreary and what have you. And then you had the Flash, which took the same music. I think it was Danny Elfman did both, and they made Flash kind of cool for a while.
Or what
Yeah.
was that? 10 episodes or something?
The Flash,
Flash ran, I think,
Yeah.
a season.
the season, yeah.
Yes.
Well, what was the season? Was it 22 episodes, 26 episodes?
I don't
I'm
know
not
off
sure
the
they did
top of
that
my
many.
head.
Yeah, I wasn't sure when
17 or 18, I guess.
yeah.
Somebody
But
check.
yeah, I
please.
just remember that was one that everybody seemed to really like, but it was too expensive, they said.
Yeah.
It was like $1
We did-
million
Yeah.
an episode, which
We
sounds
never
really
had six.
cheap now.
Yeah, we never had
Yeah.
$6 million Man or Wonder Woman on TV here.
No?
I think the
Oh,
first
no?
thing that kind of looked like superheroes here was Automan.
Okay. And I watched Automan.
Yeah, I
I don't
mean,
remember that.
yeah, Lucille Ball's Desi Arnaz's Lucille Ball's son played
Yeah.
a cop who was also a programmer, and he developed an AI who had they used Tron's technology on the costume.
Uh-huh.
And he could turn into a car, and there was this line running around the screen, and they were pretending that they were seeing the line, and that created the car for Automan to drive, and it did 90 degrees turns.
Greatest American
So-
Hero?
so-
That was
Yeah, and
Yeah.
so the joke was whenever Automan would make a turn, Desi Arnaz Jr. would be thrown to the side of the car like this.
We slammed into the window.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
Automan,
and I found out later the guy who played Automan, you never saw him anywhere else on TV and movies because he was a theater geek. He played Broadway. He was not a
Ah.
TV guy.
okay, he did have a gravitas to him when he spoke that was kind of like a little
I-
snooty.
I don't remember
And-
that show at all.
Yeah, so so Automan, as Pablo mentioned, it has like this black suit, but with lines on it, which is the technology from Tron. So when you hit it with a special light, it kind of shined. And he had a partner named Cursor, which is what would create whatever he needs. So if he needed a car, it would create the car. If he needed a helicopter, it would create it. So Cursor
Mm.
would be its sidekick character type of thing. And since he only knew the computer world, the real world was different and new to him. The Flash, by the way, it says on here, one season, 22 episodes
Okay, that's
is what's listed. Whether or not all 22 episodes originally air, I don't think it did. I think it ran
uh,
maybe 20 episodes and then they just held on to the last two or something like that.
would you consider Knight Rider a superhero show?
Well,
For
yeah.
that, yeah, with
Yeah,
that time, because he had a special car that
right.
talked. He himself came back from the dead,
Oh,
because he originally he gets shot in the face as he's a cop, gets shot in the face, and then he's technically considered dead, and the Knight Industries organization took him and fixed his face. Didn't tell him
uh-huh.
that they made his face looks exactly like the son of the guy
Mm.
who paid for it all, who comes
So of
back.
course, then you get the evil twin storyline, which is
Right,
the real son.
right. The real son comes back with Goliath, which is the truck, the evil truck,
Mhm.
Uh,
Yeah.
I don't
Ah,
think
but
and
then you add the evil, but you also add the evil car, which was called
yes,
Car.
car,
I
which
don't
was
Oh,
think I'd
and
ever
also
watched Knight Rider.
oh,
So
and
car was
how
the
did you know that the
prototype
real son was and how did you know that the real son was evil? It was David Hasselhoff with with a
with a
goatee.
goatee. Very, very mirror universe Spock.
Yeah. Yeah, Tit Goblin says didn't watch any of that stuff as a kid. It wasn't realistic like He-Man or Ninja Turtles.
Me,
Yeah, Captain Newfoundland. Yeah, I'm sure that Captain Newfoundland would have been a hit today, defending the trawlers from whales or something.
giant fish monsters. It writes
Pulp
itself.
Reader. Jared, is there any reason you don't pick up books like Absolute Martian Manhunter?
It's like Marvel and DC just really isn't my thing. That's all it comes down to.
Yeah, it's not the 80s anymore.
I really didn't buy. I mean, I stopped buying Marvel and DC regularly probably mid '80s, early to mid. Like most of my long running series that I bought all as a kid and into high school ended in my first 2 years of college. I found other stuff to buy, like Martian Man. And you know what it is too? Occasionally I'll read stuff um, I borrowed wink wink a copy of that like Superman Spectrum book that the Ice Cream Man guys are doing just so I could read a copy. I got a digital copy. And it was okay. But I don't want to pay $6 for it. And that's the same with I'm sure like what was the one everybody loved? Tom King's Miracle Man. Um, and I liked Tom King's Miracle Man. Once again, I read it digitally. I didn't buy it because I don't want to. I
Mr.
didn't want.
Miracle.
I can get it out of the library too, in their digital thing. But like with something like Miracle Man, I thought it was fine, but it would have been better to me as an indie comic. And that's what I think a lot of these like stuff that people really like the absolute stuff, I think would be better as indie comics. I think Absolute Batman, though I haven't read it, would probably better if it wasn't Batman. But that's not what the rest of the world thinks.
Hmm.
So
Well, yeah,
that
I get it. Like when the things I've read of the superhero things I've read of Tom King are the reason that I hate Tom King. But then you had the one with the girl who was stuck in the romance comic,
yeah,
and that actually sounded interesting.
right. Because it's not treading on your ideas of Batman or anything like that.
Yeah,
Right.
you'll get something because the art catches your eye, and the art in that book is really nice.
Yeah, yeah. Like I said,
Yeah,
I just don't usually look at that many DC or Marvel things.
yeah. I like the new gods. I think the art looks great. It's not Kirby, but it's good that it's not Kirby, because it meshes well with the story and the type of story that V is telling. But the art on New Gods is the reason why the typical superhero fans hate the book.
Hmm. And also the price of DC and Marvel books, I resent a little
Yeah.
because, like I said, I've been mostly an indie guy since, let's say, the mid '80s, and I've made this point before where Marvel DC books were $1 and indie books were $2 and in black and white mostly. And people would always say to me, "Why are you paying that much for a book and it doesn't even have color or something like that?" And I'd be like, "Well, they're shorter print runs, so they have to be, the whole economy of scale." But it's completely flipped. And now it's like Marvel and DC books are the most expensive books on the market. It's kind of
Yeah.
crazy that
Yeah.
indie books are often cheaper than Marvel and DC books. Often they're at least the same price. So now to me, it's like, I just don't want to pay the highest price possible to buy a Marvel or DC book, which is the odds of me being interested in it are low.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah. I suppose you would like the art on Martian Manhunter. Maybe you could try flipping through the trade in the comic shop when it
Yeah.
comes out,
Mm-hmm.
if you like that. But yeah, the I guess the art depends. What we usually seen in Marvel and DC is low quality artists, guys who have they don't know how to tell a story.
There's plenty of good art in Marvel and DC too. I don't want to put down Marvel and DC. There's plenty of good art. I mean, not all of it, but they put out a lot of comics.
Yeah,
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 that's
but
the other thing. I think they put out so many that
but
it comes down to sometimes they're getting whoever they can get.
Yeah.
yeah, but in the Marvel in the '90s, after the superstars left for Image, uh, there were probably 5 or 6 guys that had no business being professional artists.
Oh yeah.
And now with so much stuff that Marvel and DC put out because of all the events and all the family books and the spin-offs, there's probably 30 or 40 guys that just don't know what they're doing. But the thing is, the editors don't know
No, they don't know.
that
They
the artists
They
don't know
didn't
what they're
make
doing.
it through Marvel Grunwald's boot camp.
No, not at all.
That's long gone.
Yeah.
Because it used to be when you were an editor, and until around when Grunwald died in '96, if you were a new assistant editor at Marvel, they'd put you through an editorial boot camp to teach you how to tell stories. But that's long gone. I don't know if they do anything like that anymore. I don't think so.
No, not at all. I haven't heard anything like that. There was a language for comics that was taught. It was things I didn't know until I actually was working there. It's like I
Mhm.
thought I knew comics because I read it for 10 years beforehand. It's like,
Right.
oh no, there's a whole lot of stuff I didn't know at all. It's like, oh, there's little nuances and things like that where I didn't learn to do comic books until I was working on comics. And um, you have that type of mentality of new people coming in and know nothing of it, or maybe they know the movies, or they know that Marvel is something that exists, but have no idea what a good comic book is.
I think though that everybody at Marvel and DC can really draw in terms of, especially Marvel has spent the last 20 years looking for cheap foreign talent.
Mm.
So it's like every single book is well illustrated, but the storytelling,
No,
that's
that's
a
not
whole
true.
other
Things
thing.
are not well illustrated. I know that they're going for illustrators, but they let the colorists do a lot of the heavy lifting,
Yeah.
and that hurts the storytelling even more.
Yeah, but
Uh,
if you were to take any individual panel, it's fine. It's not like
because
there's tons of bad drawing in it.
right, but I know that Chester was running around the whole world looking for talents, but I don't know exactly what kind of talents he picked up because I did bump into him when he came here twice.
Well, the kind
But
of
the thing
talent they
is,
picked up is the kind of talent that was obvious in terms of, oh, look, here's Spider-Man. It looks like Spider-Man. That's the kind of talent that people who don't know art and cartooning pick.
and from what I understand, it wasn't like in the 80s when you would go to a convention and you walked up to Shooter, here's my portfolio, and it's like, okay, so you need to work up on this. Now you went to Chester. Oh, this looks really good.
Right. C.B. Cebulski specifically traveled the world to conventions to look for cheap foreign talent. That was his actual job. He had no other job with Marvel. He wasn't an editor too. He was new talent coordinator or something like that. He specifically was looking. That was his mandate from Ike. Find me cheap foreign artists. And that's when Marvel started hiring all those guys.
Here's the thing: it didn't need to find cheap foreign artists. That's what the art agencies were for. That's why guys like Joseph Toutain existed.
There were no art agents in comics anymore.
They were
art agents in comics and in American comics. No,
not in American comics, but in the rest of the world they were.
Right.
So it's fairly. It should be fairly easy to walk up to the agents in other countries. Okay, who do you have there? Instead of going around to art festivals and pretending to talk to schmucks.
I'm telling. Well, I'm guessing nobody in America knew that, because the only time I remember there being art agents was in the boom years in the early '90s.
Yeah, so you had Glasshouse Graphics. Basically,
Wilson dealt with them, so he'll know.
Yeah, so you had Glasshouse Graphics, which is still around today, and I occasionally do work for them, where they have artists from around the world, and they would package stuff, and they did package a few stuff for Marvel a few times, and that's where you get like Mike Deodato and that group from, Joe Bennett, all those guys were from that kind of house.
Yeah, but they were. The guy, the agent in Brazil was called Elcio de Carvalho, and he was the owner of the Art and Comics Agency. They also edited the comics for they were house editors from 79 to 86. From 87 they were an outside talent agency, and they did all the editorial and production work for the publisher. And at the same time, they started running an art agency, and they started with Mark Campos. He was the first Brazilian artist to go to Brazil, and then everybody else just came along. Mike Deodato, he was fairly adaptable, unlike some of the others. I guess Mozart Couto was a little bit out there for them, but. They went to Brazil. It was easy because it was the guy who was editing your comics in Brazil was the agent for the Brazilian artists who wanted to work in America.
So some places there were like that exist. They had some, but again, as you said, Ike sent CB out.
Yeah.
And from the stories that we know of Ike, whatever's the cheapest is going to be more important than anything else. And again, it's also that mentality is like, well, we're Marvel. We'll go looking and we'll find the best because we're saying they're the best. Again.
Yeah, I suppose that the guys from Eastern Europe didn't have agencies because they didn't have a proper comics industry until the Iron Curtain fell. Art had to be approved by the state. So I suppose some of those guys, and there were a few guys from Eastern Europe who were good. The guy who did the cool Iron Man stuff. What was his name? The one who worked with Warren Ellis.
On Iron Man.
Yeah.
Oh, I read some of that too. I have no memory of who the artist was.
Because okay, well, Croatian Iron Man artist.
Yeah, even like when I was working for Bad Idea, they used a lot of artists from around the world too, because that's who they were cheaper. That's who they
Yeah.
could afford.
Eddie Granov. Yeah.
Yes.
So he looked down on Eddie Granov, but then there were also a few other guys who were
Matter
looking
of fact, I think
for.
Bad Idea used him too. He drew some stuff for them. Eddie Granoff.
But now they get him off the internet, and I don't even know
Yeah.
what's the big idea when they pick him. 'Cause I mean, they may do some very pretty art and post it online, but
I know
it's the thing about not knowing how to tell a story.
Art Germ came off of DeviantArt. He's the only one I've ever heard of who got big on that site and became a comic artist. But I know they used to find out, Tumblr artist became a phrase. Back when Tumblr was big, and they'd find artists on oh, he's a Tumblr artist. Oh, we found him on or her. There was I forget who.
Art Germ, like Peach Momoko, found a dream job just doing covers because they don't have to worry about storytelling, and the covers are good enough that they don't need to.
Peach Momoko's been doing some interior stuff though. The last year or two with Marvel, I think. I haven't really looked at it, but I know it exists.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of interviews with Peach Momoko. She needs her boyfriend to help translate the stuff because she doesn't speak much English.
Right.
Huh. Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen her. I
Yeah,
like some of the colors.
They were not in that Discourse channel. So I don't know if they're still there.
Mm-hmm. And my classes started this week, so I got rid of some comics.
Yeah, I saw some of the pictures you put up, and it's like, oh, a new group of people to inherit your books.
Yeah, matter of fact, I gave. There's one guy who this is my third semester giving him comics, so I give him like specific series because he's a real comic fan.
Right.
Often the students will be like, "Okay, that's enough comics. I don't need any. You don't have to bring any more in." But Jake is like, "Come on, I'll take more. Whatever you got, I'll take more." So like this week, I brought him in. I don't know if you remember the series No One. It was in the Massive verse with Radiant Black and Rogue Sun, and it had a podcast that went along with it. It was it ran 10 issues. I remember Brian Bucceletto was one of the writers, who we know his brother, Steve Buccellato. He didn't go back to the Italian pronunciation yet. And that ran about 10 issues. I never listened to the podcast with it. And it was pretty good. It was like I said, it was kind of a murder mystery superhero sort of thing. Ran 10 issues. And I was like, you know what? I'm never going to read this again. Let me pass it on. So I passed that on. And in this summer, I had to move some comics around. Make some room for comic. Matter of fact, what I was doing was bringing all my Walking Dead comics out of the closet and onto a shelf so I could see them. Since I've been buying new Walking Dead stuff. And I discovered this box that had like, I don't know, 50 or 60 Marvel comics in it, a few DCs from around 2018. I have no memory of who gave them to me. But somebody must have said, here's some comics for you. And I never looked at them. I never read them. I just have them. So I passed out a bunch of those to some of the classes. I still have, another 40 in there because I can only bring in as many as I can carry.
I wonder if people are just sneaking them into your house during your barbecues and just bringing a box out, get rid of these, and bring it over to Jared's.
I'll just leave these here. He'll discover them sometime later. You could certainly do that in the garage with the 2,000 comics that Jerry gave me.
Right.
They're just sitting there. To get rid of them at some time. But first, I got to get rid of the ones in here taking up all the room.
Right.
I just noticed I have, what did I have? I'll give them away this semester to. Well, listen, these are ones I want to give to someone like Jake who likes them. I had another student last semester, Ava, who also loved. I'd give her. She'd take whatever I got, but she already, I think, had the. I have what are those two Tim Sale Batman? Oh, the Long Halloween.
Right.
I've got the Long Halloween 1 and 2 in trade. I enjoyed them. They were fine. I'm probably never going to read them again. And they take up that much space, shelf space. They're
Right.
big, thick books. Like I could pass the. I was gonna give them to Ava, but she had those already. I was like, all right, I'll see if someone else wants them. Giving away comics, and I have to remember to take them out of my database too.
Right.
That's always key.
Yeah, I may have to give away some comics, but I have nobody to give them to. I might as well trash them.
Yeah. Matter of fact, I was talking to Jake this week. He's like, thanks for bringing me this. Great. I'm like, hey, it's not actually easy to give away comics. And he's like, I'm glad it's not. That means he gets them. Matter of fact, a lot of the Marvel comics had the Stan Lee tribute on the cover. It's like, oh, this must have been when Stan died in 2018.
Right. It's been that long?
Yeah, it's been that long. It's amazing how time flies. And this week, we may as well mention Mort Todd.
Yeah.
Died, who we were just mentioning on the show as I recommend. Who was it that I recommended? I forget his name now. He's at the beginning. To contact Mort about who owns the Charlton stuff.
Oh, Donald Rex, yeah.
Yeah.
And Donald said that he emailed him but hadn't heard back from him, and now he's not gonna.
Yep, that's wild. We were just talking about him. I was hoping to run into him at San Diego during the Steve Ditko panel, but he wasn't there, and they didn't have like a booth or anything like that. So it's like, all right, I'll catch him some other time. And then I'm on Facebook, and I saw like a generic message from Rick Parker saying, "Hey, Mort, contact me." And I was like, okay, he's trying to contact Mort. That's weird that he's just saying it online, because I don't think of Mort being a person who was online a lot. I would see his artwork would always pop up.
Right.
Like, here's the cover.
He used to be online more, not so much the last, I don't know, decade.
Yeah. And so it's like, every now and then you would see a new cover or something. So it's like, all right, he's trying to get in contact with him, and then.
And he made a reappearance, a reappearance online. Like 6 months ago, telling everybody about the new Ditko books that he was working on with the Ditko family. So that's when he popped up on social media again.
Exactly. So it's like, okay, cool. He's working on the Ditko stuff, and. Like 20 minutes later, after I saw that Rick was looking for him, was the announcement that he was gone. And it's like, it's wild.
His sister posted something.
Yes.
He died suddenly. They just went over and he was gone. It's like, whoa. And I know some of his old smoking and drinking buddies were like, I think his smoking did him in. Because I don't think he ever gave up smoking.
Oh, no?
Yeah. And he didn't look so good in some of those videos, or he didn't look and sound like his old self on some of those videos with the Ditko stuff. But I was just like, we're all getting old.
Right.
None of us look and sound like we used to. But then I saw one of his. So Mort knew a lot of people.
Yeah.
I mean, he was really well known in the comics world. And someone had posted, after he was gone, a picture of him and Mort from just a couple months ago. And I was like, wow, Mort really doesn't look well in that picture. I mean, he seemed jovial, but he looked 10 or 15 years older than he was. I was like, whoa. Right. He looked like an old Ditko, the drawing of an old man that Ditko would draw. Like, whoa. But I think he was smoking and drinking till the end. But he was also, like I said, he was like We knew him from Marvel in the 90s, of course. I think he was there, they said, from 93 to 96 with Marvel Music.
Right.
Carl Bowlers, who I worked with at Bad Idea for a while, was his assistant those years. And Mort was also more of a bullpen guy. Yeah.
Yeah, Donald never got to meet him. Yeah.
Never got to know him. You definitely would have liked him. He was likable. He knew a lot about old comics. He knew a lot about Charlton comics. Because, and also, like, I think he was 23 when he got the job as at editor at Cracked
Right.
in the early 80s. And he, brought a whole bunch of the old, anybody he wanted to meet, he'd hire for Cracked. That's how he got to know Ditko, John Severin, all guys like, a generation older than him that he wanted to work with, he hired for Crack. And also Dan Clowes was his buddy. I think they went to Pratt together. So he hired Dan Clowes at Cracked too.
Yeah, but the biggest claim to fame, he poached
Yes.
Don Martin from
Right.
Mad Magazine.
Right. That put him on the map. And he was also at Marvel. He was way more of a bullpen guy than an editorial guy. In terms of, there was sort of the sort of culture at Marvel was, those were the two main areas on the 10th floor, the bullpen and editorial. And the bullpen was mostly artists. Even though they weren't artists for Marvel, they were doing production work. They were mostly artists. And most of editorial was writers.
Yeah.
And Mort was more of an artist than a writer. So, and the other like I've mentioned this before, the other editors sort of resented him because he wasn't within the editorial power structure. Marvel Music was its own little department off to the side, so they didn't have to answer to the editor-in-chief. And they could do things that the other editors couldn't because they were in the power structure. So there was little resentment towards Mort too. So he hung out in the bullpen way more than he hung out in editorial with the other editors. Most of the editors would, well, of course, some of them would hang out in the bullpen, but a lot of them would hang out in their own offices or in somebody else's office. That's that's where they spent their days. But
Yeah.
Mort, he'd always be up in the bullpen. So would Carl.
So he did the most famous work he did was the Last Temptation with Alice Cooper.
Yeah.
Which was, they had the benefit of having been written by Neil Gaiman and drawn by Michael Zulli, and which made it intensely interesting for the foreign market. So it's probably Marvel Music's biggest hit all over the world. The Rolling Stones and Prince comics were published out. They have non-American editions,
right.
But the Billy Ray Cyrus one and the Break the Chain with KRS One, nobody cares. Even though KRS One was made by Kyle Baker, but Kyle Baker is not as famous as he should be. He never was, unfortunately.
Right.
But yeah, the Marvel Music, when you look back at it, I mean, it's kind of an experiment trying to do an audience crossover. Didn't work much, but it was an interesting experiment, and it could only have been, if you had to do it in the 90s, it had to be done around 93, 94.
Yeah, and I think I think he also, like I said, the resentment towards him didn't benefit him either. Because there were people at Marvel who wanted to see Marvel Music fail.
Well,
just because it wasn't in that power structure.
I also think it wasn't only Mort. There was another guy who was kind of like the face of Marvel Music. It was a British guy that was around that had to do something with.
I don't remember that
connection with the Spice Girls. That was his connection to the music's part of it. There was somebody else that was kind of like more out and about it kind of a thing. That every time I think of
Hmm.
Marvel music, I think of this guy more so than Mort. So
By the
anything that was published well came from Mort. Anything that was like being hindered was this other guy from. And again, trying to think about a 30-year-old memory of a guy that wasn't in all the time.
hmm,
Where Mort was always there.
yeah, I suppose if that guy was there, was trying to launch the Spice Girls with and try to do them as comic book characters, because Wannabe, their first single comes out in '96, maybe late '95, but by the time the single hits the airwaves, Marvel Music is gone, because
Yeah.
then you have the Heroes World going out of business, and after that you have the bankruptcy. So everything goes haywire. So I guess it would have been interesting if they have launched the Spice Girls as superheroes at the same time as they were coming out with their first single. That would that could have been an interesting prospect.
And then you have projects that I don't think they ever printed the Elvis Presley stuff by artwork was by Gene Colan.
Hmm.
It was an Elvis Presley book that was
I was
beautifully
just
illustrated.
looking to
Not
see
my
if I
first
could.
choice.
I was just looking to see if I can find my Charlton Arrow stuff, but I couldn't. That was a project Mort started up about 10 years ago because he, um, at like a Charlton bankruptcy sale at some time, I don't remember I don't know what the time period was. Um, he bought a whole bunch of stats of original Charlton artwork. I don't think he had the rights to the stats, but by the time he started Charlton Arrow, a lot of them were in the public domain. Not all of them. This is why I know how he knew he owns the right. Because he said there was some guy up in Canada who bought the rights to a lot of the Charlton stuff, but not all the rights. So it's like some of the Charlton stuff was in the public domain, some of it wasn't. So he started Charlton Arrow on Kickstarter, I think it was, which was he would take the stats of the old Charlton stuff, he scanned them in and color them and publish them. And so I think he published at least 3 or 4 issues. I don't know how long. I only have a couple issues of it, and he also helped out. There were some other people. I think the name of the group on Facebook is Charlton Arrow, and there were other Charlton fans who started. There was one guy who's drawing Charlton stuff. I forget who it was, an old professional. And so there was there was sort of a lot of Charlton publishing going on that he had a finger in. So that was kind of interesting. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah. When it comes to historians, it's also always terrible to lose one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because they're usually the ones who are trying to gather as much information on something or as much material on something, keeping it alive, and then boom, guys gone, and all the work.
And he knew a lot too. I can remember having one conversation with is when I think he was the editor on Tomb of Dracula with Gene Colan. When they redid it again, they put out like 4 issues in the 90s.
Yeah.
I think he was the editor on that. And he was also the editor on some monster comics. When he was hired, it was some of it was reprints. I forget the name of the comic, but it was Marvel Monster Comics. Some of it was reprints, and some of it was he was hiring guys, some of the old guys, to make new comics too. And I can just remember having a conversation with him, and he knew like those old monster comics back and forth. And he'd be like, "Oh yeah, so and so was the inker on this," and I was like, it's like he would be telling me who was inking all these old monster comics that I knew nothing about. I was like, "Oh, look at that!" I mean, he knew it.
Yep. I remember one time Mort was in Gary's office. It was one on 9th floor, so this is when I was an intern. And we're having a conversation on how to approach basically advertisements for Mort's books and stuff like that. What would
Hmm.
be the not the publishing rights, but the basically how we're going to advertise
Hmm.
the whole concept and stuff like that. And one of the things is like Gary, you wanted to take a picture of Mort and have it as part of like the advertisement. Is like, this is Mort Todd. You do not want him editing your X-Men books. You want him on these projects, that type of a thing. And he had a kick out of it. I don't recall if we ever did the ad, but that was like one of the conversations I remember having with him. That it was like, we could take a picture of you behind your desk, and it was like basically Mort Todd. You don't want him touching X-Men, that kind of a thing. These are the projects you want him on, that type of thing. So as I always remember that little tidbit.
And Mort's like fashion sense was always like a throwback to the beatniks too.
Yes, very much so.
He always looked a little out of time. He had his, thick black Buddy Holly glasses, which were not in style.
Hmm.
And he was kind of a jeans and white t-shirt 50s beatnik kind of aesthetic.
Yeah.
A sort of a little upscaled punk rock, but not
Yes.
really punk. More punk rockers who were the 50s, not the 70s.
Yeah, early punk rockers would be a good way to clarify.
Yeah, Donald Rex says he spent hours on the U.S. copyright website,
Yeah.
not trying to figure out the Charlton comics. Yeah, I'm kind of surprised that anything actually went into the public domain, because even if you missed the copyright notice, things would still be copyrighted. And since the first renewal of 28 years would still be a long way away because of the new 1976 law, which made everything made the copyright term 75 years. I don't think you actually could lose the copyright.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I hear sometimes about things from the 50s lapsing into the public domain, and to me it doesn't make sense. Nothing that was published before 1951 should have been gone into the public domain for not renewing the copyright.
And my favorite Mort quote is something he didn't even remember, of course. Sometimes someone says something and, another person remembers it. And the person who said it's like, I said that? It was, I just remember, I was sitting down. I don't know whose office I was in. Mort came in and he was chatting for a little while. And he picked up I forget the name of the book. It was some kind of dinosaur book. And Mort just looked at it and went, Summer of Jurassic Park, and Marvel's the only one who can't sell a dinosaur project. And kind of put it back down and walked out. I was like, oh, that is so true. Because whatever project it was, no one cared.
Yeah, you had Dinosaur. It was a 4-issue series. You had the Civil War, which I knew Civil War historians that were very excited about it, but it took forever to come out. It was supposed to be 4 issues, prestige format, and after I think the second issue, it just dragged. And then the third issue, and I don't even know if the fourth issue ever came out, but people were really excited. Historians were really excited about it, and I don't know where it fell. If it was the artist couldn't get it done or what have you, but there were some projects that were amazing, and then other projects it was like, the dinosaur book, if I remember, was pretty boring.
Yeah, I think that Civil War one did get finished.
It did eventually get finished.
Yeah, Ted Goblin says so many historians and archaeologists pass and whole cultures die because they are the only ones that can string together chronology and papers. The artifacts in publishing lose a ton of context and vitality. I can only picture what it's like for old pop culture and folklore. Well, yeah, pop culture is transitory. It's supposed to last for a while and be forgotten. But if it resonates, even if it resonates, you end up losing details. You know that even in the 90s, you heard a lot more 80s music on the radio, and now you don't. not even in oldies stations, because now the oldies play
Uh-huh.
music from 2005. What?
There's still radio?
Yes, that's the weird part. Why are they playing oldies with music from 2005 if the only people who still listen to the radio are over 40? So they want to listen to stuff from the 80s and 90s.
But yeah, without like, I should have kept the journal. But you try to think of your time period at Marvel, and things just start to merge together.
Oh
And
yeah.
it's like, wait, what happened first?
If it
And
wasn't for the photos I took, I'd be
yeah,
really confused.
yeah, and it's like you go through the timeline, and it's like, you know, when did the bankruptcy happen? When did the
Right.
firings happen? There was quite a different sets of firings.
Yeah.
Then you have the 5 editor-in-chiefs. Then you have Bob Harris winning it all, so to speak. And then next thing you know it, Joe Quesada's the editor-in-chief. And it's like, you know,
Right.
these things that just like, again, for me, they just merge all together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I've posted things on our Marvel groups and whatever, and people are like, oh, you have a good memory. I'm like, no, I don't. I labeled photographs. That's the only way I know. That's the only way I know.
Yeah. There was a time I was trying to build up a collection. When it comes to cars, I was trying to build up a collection of a paper catalog that I used to give to journalists in the Geneva Motor Show. But those things are so big that I can't afford to have them in the house. So
Yeah.
even if you have 4 years of catalogs, they're like this thick.
Yeah.
And they take up a lot of space. So, but you do lose a lot of information on when you're trying to get specifications of cars. So it's the same thing when you're trying to build up the history of comics. And in comics, we have a problem because official history and legend they become truth. So we kind of suffer from liberty valance.
When the most famous guy in comics made stuff up all the time, Stan Lee,
and everyone believed him. So now everything is true.
Believed it.
Yep.
That should be
to their grave defending him.
Yeah, there should be an issue of Department of Truth about Stan Lee.
You're right. You're right. So
but that's the thing. That's why I spent a lot of time going over that period's comic, just looking up the order in which the comics were produced, so I can figure out what happened. Otherwise, people are just gonna keep saying that Stan Lee created everything and Jack Kirby was hired to draw the comics.
Yeah. Huh. Well, I got 9 comics. Let me show you 3 of them.
Sure.
We got the very last issue of You'll Do Bad Things. This is the one, was it Tyler Boss, Tudalici, Otsmain Alhow. Some wild hallucinogenic art in this last issue. And this is the one about the writer he's a true crime writer, and he had a hit, and he was trying to come up with his new book and make that a hit, except he thought that what he was writing was coming true. He was like, I write about these crimes and then they happen. There's something going on here. This is crazy. And there was actually an explanation for it in this 6th and final issue, which I won't tell you because you don't want to know the end of a mystery, especially of a brand new comic. But it was a good read. Check that one out if you want a strange mystery book. And then we've got I consider this the sister book because Matthew Rosenberg is writing this one. Tyler Boss and Matthew Rosenberg, the artist and writer on What's the Furthest Place from Here. And then the same month, their own new books came out with each of them writing them. But I think this one's going 6 issues too, but they skipped a month. This is only issue number 5. And this is the one written by Matthew Rosenberg, art Stefano Landini, colors Jason Wordy, letters Hassan Otsmain Alhow. And this is the one that's like it's a Rook thriller, and the Rook is just a side character in this, but the Rook is like James Bond, and the lead there he looks like Burt Reynolds, and there's a chessboard. There's a couple pages of chessboard storytelling. That was a little weird. Maybe that's a Rook thing. I don't know, because the Rook is a chess piece Rook, and this one, like, picture a James Bond villain, who then this one is named the Vitruvian, and it's about him. And this is the Vitruvian's daughter, and they got attacked by the Rook and have been running away. And Vitruvian put his consciousness into a robot body, which we always suspected, but we found out for real in this issue. So that one's been fun. And then there's Joseph Schmalke's 7 Years in Darkness. This is a magic school story where every 50 years the school opens, 100 students are taken in, and only 7 survive to graduation. And this is year 3, issue 2. And already they're the one of the faculty is like, how do we only have 30 students left? So I guess the students are dying quicker than usual, because bad things happen in this magical town. But there's the first 3 for the night.
Mm-hmm.
So since we were talking about it, here is a copy of the Alex Cooper Last Temptation of Alice.
Cool.
This is book 1. It has a fantastic back cover.
Michael Zulli from the Puma Blues. I got a piece of his original art from the Puma Blues.
And then here is the credits. So you have Neil Gaiman, Michael Zulli, Todd Klein was the letterer, colored by John Cass.
Kalis.
This is blurring in and out. Kalis.
Yeah.
And covered by David McKean. And then Neil Gaiman Neil Gaiman, Alex Cooper information. And there you have it. Mort Todd, editor. Carl Bowler's assistant editor. Mike Warlow, Marvel Music. He might be the guy that I was talking about earlier.
Okay.
And Tom DeFalco, editor-in-chief. I just looked up Mike Warlow's name. He doesn't pop up anywhere. And I haven't read the entry on the Marvel Music Wikipedia page, but show some art from the inside. So Alex Cooper, to me, is similar to Kiss only in the sense of characters that have appeared in comics a bunch of times. So they almost fall into that superhero realm as well. As we were talking earlier today about what is considered superhero on television. And so I always thought that Alex Cooper, Kiss are kind of like superheroes in music in a sense because of the costumes and the looks and stuff like that. And Alex, like Kiss, had appeared in comics before.
Marvel Premiere number 50?
I think so.
I believe I got
positive.
that one off the stands. It was a weird comic. I liked it. I forget who was the creative team on it. Had a pretty good creative team on that. You ever seen that one, Paolo?
No.
Came out in the late 70s, it must be. Alice Cooper in...
Yeah, I know there was an issue of Marvel Premiere, but it's not something that gets talked about much.
Right, it doesn't.
Here's the thing. When we were still in the big publishing group, they put the car magazines together with the software magazine and the music magazine. And one day I was writing, and the guy who knew most of the musicians, he sits down and he calls somebody and he starts talking. Hey, is this Alex Cooper? He was interviewing Alex Cooper over the phone. And I was like, So do I call you Mr. Cooper? Do I call you Vince? No, you can call me Alice. You put it on loudspeaker. I could hear some in the beginning.
Missing Mars has that comic.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, so for some people, that should be an interesting comic to own.
I barely knew who Alice Cooper was when I was a kid and got it. Story was lifted from the album From the Inside, his time in a mental institution. Okay. I mean, I still don't know Alice Cooper's music. I mean, I know School's Out for Summer. That's about it.
I only know Poison.
School's out forever. School's out.
Nurse Rosetta, a good tune.
Nurse Rosetta. Yeah, I don't know that one.
Oh,
Ed Hannigan and Tom Sutton on Alice. That's an interesting combination.
Mm-hmm.
Ed Hannigan was very good at design, and Tom Sutton had sort of a very loose, painterly quality to his inks and drawing. I think Tom Sutton.
I don't usually like Tom Sutton. I don't know why, but every time I see his art,
Yeah, well, I find he could be good or bad. I mean, there was such a sort of loose quality to his, and it depended if he was inking someone, if he was being inked, and I think he was a Charlton guy in the early 70s, and that stuff can be really wonky. But I've seen stuff I liked by him too. You know, at least 6 of his songs. Okay.
Well, if you read The Last Temptation, you know the lyrics because I've seen the lyrics inside the comic.
Yeah, I mean, I've listened to a lot of classic rock stations, as they're now called. Mm-hmm. Oh, Terry Austin inks.
Well, that would make it look solid, at least. Which
so Hannigan, Sutton, and Austin. I'm going to pull that off my shelf and look at it. I haven't seen it in so many years.
Yeah, because Austin makes everything look solid, and it's not solid is not what comes to my mind when I think of Tom Sutton.
No.
Only Women Bleed. I'll Never Cry.
I won't know them by their titles, that's for sure.
Yeah, I'm not a rock guy. I'm an electronic guy, so that to me is meaningless.
Yeah, I'm very music illiterate. If it wasn't playing on Z100, I didn't hear it. So, and I never really went out searching for music. Occasionally, I will find a band and enjoy their music and get everything from them, but that was far in between.
I know the titles of more songs by Africa Bambaataa and the Soul Sonic Force than by Alice Cooper. The thing is, Africa Bambaataa and the Soul Sonic Force dressed up as science fiction superheroes, so they should have had a comic.
Yeah.
Mortad knew a lot about music too. I'm just reminded.
Yeah. Alvin's doing an incredible Alice Cooper cover on the album Lysol. Ballad of Dwight Fry is the track.
Ballad of Dwight Fry. No more Mr. Nice Guy.
That song I know. I've heard that one.
Because there's another thing. The rock, even the famous rock guys, they're a niche product in Europe.
Yeah.
The guys who are into metal know all of them, and then nobody else even knows who they are.
Alice Cooper didn't get a lot of play on rock stations in the late 70s when I was listening, late 70s, early 80s. He was one of those guys that was kind of on the periphery. I don't think he was radio friendly, as they say.
Well, neither were Iron Maiden, but everybody likes her. Everybody who's into metal from the 80s likes Iron Maiden in Portugal, but nobody ever talks about Alice Cooper.
Heavy metal did not get much radio play at all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, heavy metal here was like, oh, you shouldn't listen to that. And that's why I listened to Iron Maiden and enjoyed them. But I never went all out there, you know. So it was like the little heavy metal group I hung out with was mostly, you know, showing me the stuff from Iron Maiden. And once I got that, I enjoyed that type of thing.
Even someone like Metallica in the 80s didn't get much radio play.
Yeah, I suppose in the 90s they got more after Enter Sandman. And the art type people here adds up the new Devo documentary on Netflix. It's fantastic.
Our friend
Okay.
Bunt is the biggest Devo fan ever. So
Yeah.
I never quite
Um,
understood. I never quite understood what all the love for Devo.
yeah,
That's just some people liked it. Gary Guzzo was a big Devo fan.
yeah.
I remember him like really excited because not only was there an album called Devo's Biggest Hits, there was also a side album called Biggest Misses. And he
Ah,
was very excited to pick that up.
Do I have the Street Sounds Electro compilations? No, but I am familiar with some of the electro hip hop tracks from the early '80s because just as disco was imploding, uh, a lot of disco aesthetics and beats moved into the emerging hip hop movement. And the DJs that were left over from the disco era, they mixed in all of that. So they stopped playing disco, but they got punk. So they mixed punk, the early electro hip hop, high energy from Italy, and the new synth pop sound from the UK, and they melded it all together. So guys who know club music history are familiar with Break Machine and with Africa Bambaataa and the Furious Five,
Yeah, the
but I don't have
early
the records.
early hip hop and rap. Those guys were there. I mean, that's who Blondie sung about.
Late '70s, early '80s, Alice was at a career low, real bad. He almost died from drugs.
ah, that was
Next, you
my
have
youthful time. So that's probably
the first 7 compilations. Okay, metal has always ruled in San Antonio. Well, yeah, if you're in the area where you listen to country music, the escape is always into rock and metal. It's never into electronic.
nah, same in
So,
Winnipeg.
yeah, Killer Dwarfs. I don't remember I don't know those. Oh yeah, Nucleus. I like those guys. I like. They had great production. And there was even in the late '90s there was a happy hardcore group from Germany called Music Instructor. They did a radio-friendly cover of him, and but then after that didn't pan out, they went full on electro, and they did a cover of Nucleus Jam on it, and that thing was a minor hit. Jam on, yeah.
And let me tell you, there are camera friendly record stores and there are camera not friendly record stores.
Mm-hmm.
One time, this was in the 90s. I was with my friends hanging out in Brooklyn, and we went into this. And I usually carried a camera with me in those days. And we went into this record store in Brooklyn, down by Borough Street station, J Street, Borough Hall. That's it. And my friend was like, "Oh, and it was filled with bootleg records." So my friend was like, "Cool." He was holding up his favorite record, and I took a picture of him. And all of a sudden, it was like, "Oh my God, he's got a camera! He's got a camera!" And they kicked me out of the store. The one guy's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm just taking a picture of my friend with his favorite record." He's like, "Oh, okay." They were making sure they weren't getting in trouble for all the bootleg records in the store.
No, I did not go to electronic raves. My entry into electronic music was stock Aitken and Waterman productions in the 1980s. So we're talking all of those British pop hits, stuff including stuff by Kylie Minogue and Bananarama. And after that, but what really got me into electronic music was Technotronic, which was a Belgian group. And after that, Eurodance. So I get into, and I wind up in Big Beat, because of Eurodance. So it's kind of a tortuous travel through electronic music, which is why inside electronic I have eclectic tastes. When I know that the people who are into electronic music, they're a bit like the people who are into metal. Because there's the guys like, oh, I only listen to speed metal. I only listen to death metal. I only listen to glam metal. And it's the same in electronic. There's a guy, oh, I only listen to house. I only listen to hardcore. I only listen to trance. But I travel through all of those, and I end up liking a lot of different stuff.
Mm-hmm.
My friend has a jacket signed by Anthony Rother. Do you know of him? I don't.
Uh-huh. And I just got a message from Scott Connor informing me that Illustrators Magazine number 48 is now out and available to order online. It's featuring Mark Schultz of Cadillacs and Dinosaurs.
Yeah, you had sent me that
okay.
image too.
I'll have to check that out. I don't think I've ever seen. I have seen Illustrators Magazine, not in a lot of years.
Yeah, Mark Schultz, another unsung hero.
Yeah, I don't think I have very much of his stuff at all. I mean, has he done anything besides Cadillacs and Dinosaurs? And is it or Xenozoic Tales? I forget which one it's called. It started out as one name and changed to the other.
Yeah, it started out as Xenozoic Tales. It was reprinted at Epic as Cadillacs and Dinosaurs because the video game was going to be called Cadillacs and Dinosaurs. They managed to get the rights to the name, so might as well call it that because it's a good name.
Yeah,
I don't know who came up with it, if it was Mark Schultz himself or a video game exec, but I heard about Xenozoic Tales for the first time, not as Cadillacs and Dinosaurs, from the animated series. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, there were only 13 episodes. So that thing never went into syndication.
That is one. Like, when did that first come out? The 80s?
Yeah, 81 or 82. The first story.
Even that earlier.
Yeah,
that's one of those I have always meant to check out, but never really did. I don't even know if I actually bought an issue, and I looked at a lot of I looked through issues, and I always meant to check it out, but that was before things were collected. And I was like, I don't want to start a new series. I have to go back and find the other issue. So for whatever reason, I just never checked it out, really. I still want. I don't know if the whole thing. How many issues do you think there are of it? Because it wasn't 14. It didn't come out all the time.
No, there are 14 issues.
14? Okay, they must be collected somewhere.
Yeah, I have the collection.
Oh, there you go.
The one, the oversized one from Flask.
And it's called Cadillacs and Dinosaurs?
Xenozoic only. Yeah.
Okay, it's called Xenozoic.
And here's the thing. Now, the first story was published in one of Kitchen Sink's anthologies, Death Rattle Volume 2.
Okay.
That story is there, but then the 14 issues, they have a main story and a backup story featuring other characters in the city. But the backup story. The backup stories are not reprinted in that volume because they don't have art by Schultz. They have art by the main inker of the main stories. So I think they don't have the rights to those because Steve Stiles will have kept the copyright to the art, and they would have to pay him to reproduce it. Okay. And then there was the Cadillacs and Dinosaurs from the 90s from Topps, which is Roy. I think Roy Thomas was involved, and yeah, it's not Mark Schultz. So
Mark Schultz. And I missed out on a couple of good Walking Dead auctions this week as I continue to try and fill in the issues I was missing. One was, it had like a group of issues in the teens that I needed for a pretty good price, but the auction was going off in the middle of the night, so I knew I wasn't going to win it. I think I bid like for the group of books, I bid like $130, and someone sniped me at like 3 a.m., which I knew was going to happen. I was like,
Yeah.
oh well.
Hmm.
And then the other one, I hit myself in the head for because it was like issues 5, 6, 7, and 8 in good shape, and the opening bid on it was $150. And I went, still got a couple of days. I'll bid tomorrow. But then it went off. Once again, I didn't think I was gonna get it anyway, because once again it was going off in the middle of the night.
Right.
But it also went off my first day of school. Like that day, there was that day. So I got home, did not remember, did not see an email reminded me. And so I never even bid on it. And it either went for, I couldn't quite tell if anyone ever bid on it. It either went for the opening bid of $150 or nobody bid on it. Because I noticed the seller only had like 5 feedback. So sometimes things like that don't sell.
Yeah.
But I was like, oh, I should have bid. I'm like, and I tried to look in like sold items, and it wasn't in sold items. And then you click on it, and it still says 0 bidding for this item has ended. I'm like, did
So
anyone
he
ever
has
bid on it?
so maybe nobody bid on
I'm
it,
like,
and he
maybe
hasn't
nobody. I'm like,
and he
if I
hasn't
could have got
relisted
that
it
for
yet.
$150, that would have been cheap, because it was like $300. My estimate for those comics, what I would pay for them, was around $300. So I was like, I missed out on that one. Oh, but I was like, but also I was like, these middle of the night ones, I never win.
Yeah.
Just never happens. But I did get just two Walking Dead comics as I continue to fill in. Issue 26 for, what was this? $17, which is actually below my estimate. I think my estimate on for some reason this one was more expensive than some of the other ones around it, so my estimate was 30. And this one, like I said, this is issue 30, just 5 issues later. This was $13. So pretty good prices on both of those. I think right now I have from issues 30 till the end, and some issues before then, but I still have to fill in the ones that I sold. So continuing my Walking Dead project just to make myself feel better. No other reason. My Walking Deads were like a shame. They were stuck in the back of a closet somewhere, like a shame.
That is incomplete. So
That is incomplete, because I sold my early issues because I needed money. And now I've moved them out onto a shelf over there. I've moved the shame. I've removed the shame from them. The things we do to make ourselves feel better.
Oh yeah.
What comic have you bought, Paolo, to make yourself feel better?
To make myself feel better.
Something you're like, I shouldn't have got rid of that. Anything?
No, I don't get rid of much stuff. I suppose the only thing that I regret giving was a few years ago when John Byrne was at IDW. He did a James Bond knockoff. I can't remember what it was called, but the story was good. I ended up giving the book away, but man, the thing was not that half bad. I could have kept it.
Someday you'll see it again and get it just to make yourself feel better. Are you going to get John Byrne's Elsewhere? X-Men Elsewhere?
When I have money, yes.
Okay. Yeah, it's not coming out till next year anyway.
Good.
I think there's going to be 3 volumes of it. That's how much he's drawn. Talk about lunacy.
Do we know the price point of those books?
Yeah, I like auctions that go off on Wednesday afternoons. During the summer I would, but I teach class on Wednesday now, so that's not going to help me.
There's another ballad. You and Me?
Nope.
I don't understand rock musicians who do ballads.
Yeah,
I don't.
I know.
Okay. Yeah, okay. They're known for a wild, energetic music. Let's do a ballad.
That's to get radio play.
Yeah.
100%. I mean, that Kiss song, Beth, is got to be one of the worst sung songs ever. It's just like, oh my God, you can't hold a tune.
It's called Money. Yep.
Yeah. Let's do a ballad.
Yeah, you know that Michael Bolton couldn't make money as a hard rock musician, so he turned to ballads.
Why not?
Yeah,
Just
if
cursing it.
it makes you money.
Why bang your head against the wall? If you like making ballads, make some ballads.
Mhm. Like there's a famous musician from my hometown. He only does modern folk.
Mm-hmm.
He can do whatever he wants, but the only thing that will make him money is modern folk. With so he does that.
All right.
And Paul McCartney, silly love songs. The only guy who does love songs I like is Barry White.
By the way, someone also bought. Remember that I was talking last week about comics that CGC comics that I'm tempted to buy that I don't need in any way, shape, or form. Those 2 issues of Nowhere Men, issues
Right.
1 and 2, for $20 plus $20 shipping. Someone else bought them. I was like, now I'm not tempted to buy them for no reason.
Listen, I found Mike Warlow, and he did a lot of books about music.
I don't think I've ever read a book about music.
Even in the 1980s, there's a biography about Duran Duran, which I think is the one that
Which
that
is
Neil
what
Gaiman-
might have put him on the map for Marvel to hire him. Again, there was somebody that was there who showed up and then was gone. And again, I don't remember much about him, but it was like he was connected to the music industry in some capacity, and that's why he was part of this whole thing. But I know really very little and nothing about him. But the Duran Duran thing sounds familiar.
I think that's where Neil Gaiman was did some ghostwriting, and he may have done the research to write the book, which explains why Gaiman, who was working for DC at the time, did the Alice Cooper comic. Anyone ever see Nowhere Man TV show? I think I remember that. That was the guy that was erased.
Yeah,
from
that
society.
that was an entertaining show.
Yeah.
I said, I may as well go and look for this Alice Cooper comic because I think I know exactly where it is.
There you go.
There it is.
Mm-hmm.
50th issue of Marvel Comics Presents. Who did this cover? Austin on the inks. Sutton and Austin. So Sutton did the cover.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it does look like Tom Sutton. Yeah.
I like
Let's
how
see,
it
who
looks
did the
like
inside?
one of the old horror books.
Mm-hmm.
Nice splash page. I miss splash pages in comics. And it says, based on the album. Let's see, is there Naked Alice Cooper. A lot of, what are they called? Chicken fat. All sorts of graffiti to look at in that one.
You
Let's
say
see
chicken
what.
fat or chicken scratch?
No, chicken fat is what. Who was it? Will Elder called like when he was doing Mad Magazine, all the visual gags he'd put in there,
Oh, okay.
like that weren't in the script. I think they were called chicken fat. He called it chicken fat.
Oh, don't recall ever hearing that term.
Some pretty nice artwork.
Yeah.
Let's see, where's the credits page?
And Splash.
No, I don't think it was on there. Was it? It must be somewhere. Based on the. No.
If it's not on the first 3 pages, it's at the end.
That's what I figured. I just didn't see it at the end either. Let's see. Oh no. There's the end.
There's no credits. Ooh.
There's no credits.
That's wild.
That's weird.
Uh-huh.
Unless they're stuck in the background somewhere. I don't see.
Letters page.
There's a little Alice Cooper ad on the bullpen bulletins. Does it say who did it there? Marvel Premiere 50, or assistant editor page Jim Salicrup. Editorial nurse Florio. No. How are there no credits on this? That is so weird. Welcome to the really bad joke. That is so strange that there are no credits.
And was it only that one issue, or did?
Yeah, it always had credits. It was a normal comic with normal credits in it.
Right. No, I was just curious if it had another issue after that.
Oh no, this is no Marvel Premiere was like all one shots.
Not quite. So the Marvel Premiere started with the what was the first 4 issues? The first was Red Wolf, and then there was Werewolf by Night. Ghost Rider debuted there, then Son of Satan.
I actually have a lot of Marvel Premiere issues. That was one I bought regularly.
Yeah, then Iron Fist, and after Iron Fist, they started having smaller runs.
Right, that's when the Liberty Legion.
47, 48 is Scott Lang as Ant-Man.
Right. Dominic Fortune.
Dominic Fortune as an issue. They finish the interrupted Black Panther versus the KKK storyline in there, about 50-52, I think. And at the end, they have 4 issues of Doctor Who reprints from Marvel UK.
Yes. Yeah, I remember that. I didn't realize there were reprints at the time. I remember getting the Doctor Who Marvel Premiere.
Yeah, people weren't aware that those comics were published in the Doctor Who magazine.
Here is some information I found on the Marvel fandom website. It lists the writers as being Alex Cooper, Jim Salicrup, Roger Stern, Ed Hannigan, and then pencils Tom Sutton, inks by Terry Austin, colorist Marie Severin, letters by Tom Orzechowski, and then Orzechowski, and then editors Roger Stern. But according to the website, don't know where
the inside. I mean, the cover is signed, and the inside looks like the same artist. So
right.
So nice Thompson and Terry Austin made it look very solid.
Yes. And when you say Terry Austin, and I'm looking at the inside of those pages, you can see how it is Terry Austin, because that's kind of like when he does that fun, cartoony kind of look to stuff that he used to like put in the back of like John Burns X-Men, and they'll have the 2-page spread, and you have the xenomorph from Alien in there, and he'll sneak in a Popeye and stuff like that. It would be in that kind of cartoony style.
And there's
Donald
definitely
Rex.
a lot of tech pen.
Yeah. Donald Rex says he never appreciated Tom Sutton until I got old.
Yeah,
So I'm still not old enough to appreciate Tom Sutton.
that's what it is.
Yeah, because I have remembered that when they did that Seeker 3000 miniseries. Well,
I remember the name. I don't remember the series.
yeah, and they reprinted the one-off appearance from Marvel Premiere number 41, which I bought. I only bought that reprint, and that thing has Tom Sutton art on science fiction. The art's really confusing. It's really scratchy. The coloring doesn't help.
I remember him doing some. Hello there, Sleepy. I remember him doing some Star-Lord comics. I don't remember where. I remember liking Tom Sutton's Star-Lord comic. And probably in one of those like Marvel Spotlight, Marvel Premiere things. I don't remember.
Yeah, because there are a couple of color stories with Star-Lord. Yeah,
I think Sutton did one of them. I think my friend Ed has some Tom Sutton original art. I can't remember what it was though. Alice. I wonder who did the Alice Cooper logo. It's pretty nice. Because that's stuff that often gets lost to time unless it's on Todd Klein's website.
Yeah, because that's not the regular Alice Cooper lettering from the.
No.
But it's kind of designed to look like the lettering that's usually used by Alice Cooper.
It's got a scary look to it.
Yeah, but the regular Alice Cooper logo is like blood dripping, so it would not have been code approved.
Right.
So they do that thing that's kind of doughy, but it's still reminiscent of having blood on it.
Alice Cooper, Sutton in Austin. Marie Severin did great colors. She did.
Yeah.
All
Tom
the way
Sutton was
back
probably,
to comics.
Yeah, Tom Sutton was probably best on horror. Yeah, I can believe that.
I was still trying to figure out I still want to know who the first comic book colorist was. Because I think Marie Severin was the first comic book colorist for EC Comics.
Mm-hmm.
That I've read, because it used to be the color separator would just color them, which is why they would get random colors back. But I'm sure that wasn't true of Superman. I mean, they always got so I don't know who the first comic book colorist was. I mean, I can't believe that would be true of Superman, I should say. But I know in that book on EC I read, they said Marie Severin was the first colorist for EC. They said she was the first colorist, but I don't know if they meant for EC Comics or everywhere, because they used to they would send the colors off to the separator, and they didn't send them any guides because that wasn't part of the process. So Marie Severin started coloring the EC Comics and then sent the guides off to the color separator so they could get good color. That's how the EC Comics got such good color. But I don't know. That was the early 50s, I think. They couldn't have had no colorists all through the 40s.
No, I don't think they would have.
That doesn't make any sense to me, but I don't know. You never hear about colorists from the 40s. First colorist I ever hear about is Marie Severin. I read an interview with J.J. Jackson, and she said she's working on a book about the history of comic book coloring.
Oh, cool.
And there was one of my photos in the interview. Not a photo of me, a photo I took. Like, how did that get? Well, I know I got probably from my website. Yes, he did a great deal of Charlton. who I often hear. I often heard Sleepy Reader called Charleston. I was like, not Charleston. You have to
Yeah.
drive me crazy. I haven't heard him say it in a while, so he
Okay,
must
so
not.
so the Grand Comics database has Action Comics #1 being colored by the Strauss Engraving Company, which I
Right.
guess is
So that would be the color separators.
hmm, I don't know. I still find it very weird that there were at least no guides.
No, there were no guy. That's what I don't. They said that in this EC book, but I don't. Like I said, I don't know if they meant for EC Comics or for comics in general.
All right, so I guess Marvel Comics #1 does not have a colorist listed,
Yeah,
but
because
I
it
know,
looks like Marvel doesn't credit anybody until the 1960s with Stan Goldberg
right, but we know that
being
Stan
that main.
Goldberg, and we know that Stan Goldberg was there by doing that by 1954 or 55, and he was supposed to be doing everything. Okay, yeah. So Marvel Comics #1 does not have any listed colorist, but Marvel Comics #1 was made by a Light Jacket studio. So one of those guys had to be coloring.
Yeah.
But I'm not
Who
sure.
went? Yeah. Well, let me
I'm
check
not
something
sure.
here in Comedy Comics 9. This is 1942. Yeah.
And it might have just been in the sense of, once a character like Superman was made, maybe not had a colored guy, but it might have been the same person who did the previous
Yeah.
issue. Because again, they weren't. It wasn't a glamorous job, and they had a limited palette. So it might have been whoever was the separators. They might have had maybe 2 or 3 people there.
Well, if you Sleepy just left a comment about. I read the Prince Valiant had a special color team at the printers just for the strip. Yeah, I've read about the especially comic strips, the Ben Day guys. Back when it was Ben Day coloring, it was a very specific technique, and it's the stuff that I have too in for Gasoline Alley Sundays from the 20s and 30s. And but some of the comic strip guys I know had color guides. Like I think on the Gasoline Alleys, they had. I think it was because they had like the Ben Day guys. They had first of all, comic book coloring is not Ben Day. It's not the same thing. Comic book coloring was a cheap form of coloring that its invention was for comic books and allowed comic books to exist. So the coloring that was done on something like Prince Valiant was Ben Day coloring. That was like a generation before, where you had to literally paint with screens and kind of thing. I have a book on it, but that was kind of much more complicated than comic book coloring. And I still know that, and it's like if you were one of the big strip guys in like the 20s and 30s, and you cared, you would make sure, like you said, there was special color team at the printers just for Prince Valiant because who's the Prince Valiant guy again?
Al Foster?
Was it Hal
Yeah.
Foster? Hal
Al
Foster.
Foster.
Hal Foster cared, and
Right.
I also know that some of those 20 they because I've seen the color guides for some comic strips, but I imagine not all comic strips had color guides because that was probably an expense. And if the artist delivering, I imagine if you're delivering your strip in black and white to the syndicate just sends it to the printers, and like I said, they do the coloring. You have to be one of these artists who cares about the coloring to make the color guide because that's probably on your dime. The syndicate is paying you to deliver the strip. Color guides are not. So I imagine that's how that happened. But comics, I don't know. I don't know if there were color guides at all.
Mhm. Interesting. There's a couple of instances here in the current comics database where they list editorial jobs in Marvel's Funny Animals comics in 1940, around circa 1942 to 1944, and a couple of names they kind of sound like they could be the colorist,
Mm-hmm.
and one of them is Ken Platt, another is Gary Keller.
Yeah.
Yeah, but these guys are not very famous. I know Ken Platt drew a few strips. I may have written a few others. There's an Al Solman who was in charge of production work, including writing, and writing was considered production work if you were doing Funny Animals.
But I imagine if you have a choice between hiring someone to do the colors and not hiring someone to do the colors, you're going to pick not. Often local papers did their own colors. That's if it was printed. That got done at the printers, which is why it was usually terrible when you've seen those.
Yeah.
I mean, that went on all the way to the 90s, I remember. It's like,
you know that the Phantom has different colors in different countries?
Yeah.
Because the Phantom being a black and white daily, when they did comics with the Phantom, the local publisher would reprint the comic strip, but they would have to add color. So they did their own, whatever they thought that the costume should be. So there are over a dozen variations on the Phantom's colors, depending on the country.
Because they only sent you the black plate.
Yeah.
Or the means to make your own black plate.
Yeah, it isn't even, they didn't even reprint comic books with the Phantom. They did a comic book by cutting and pasting the newspaper strip. Because in Portugal we had that case. The guys who had the rights to distribute newspaper strips from King Features, they also had a printer and they would print comics.
Yeah.
And 90% of those comics at a certain point in history were King Features comic strips. But they came out in the comic a year after coming out in a newspaper. And they didn't have to pay extra for it because they already got the rights. They have the plates. They can do whatever they want.
Right.
And it's not like anybody's checking to see if you're reprinting it again.
Yeah. I do find that interesting that like each country had their own color Phantom. That is just neat.
Yeah, Gary Keller is listed as production associate. Does that sound like it could be a colorist?
No.
No?
Could be, but like I said, if you're gonna, I think at some point, if they had the choice, if they had to pay a salary, they're not going to pay a salary if they don't have to.
Right, but it's not.
So
it's considered production. You get paid for production, not by the page.
I know, but I'm just saying you need production done.
Yeah.
Right.
Let's say you got 5 guys doing production.
Right.
The only way one of them is going to end up doing coloring is if there's some improvement that makes it so only 4 guys could do that job. And they need work for that 5th guy. So they say, or that 5th guy is like, well, why don't we start, why don't we get, I think that's the only way that's going to happen. I think if you've got a production department of, let's say, 5 people, and in order to get the colors done, the colors are going to get done for free at the printer. The only way to get the colors you exactly want is to hire another guy. You're not going to hire that other guy. I think there has to be, well, we can fire this guy who we all know and like, or we can get our color better. He can do our, they're doing this over at EC Comics. So I think that's the only way it's going to get, or it starts with, we need this cover to be really someone has to care.
Right.
And I don't know how many people have cared in comics over the years, especially in the 40s and into
Well,
the 50s.
Martin Goodman cared about the cover.
It could have, like I said, it could have started with the cover.
Yeah, and that could have been done, and that was used as the guide.
Right.
You know,
Could
especially
have
when they were
started
the
with the cover.
cartoon funny animals. They might have selected colors for those
Yeah,
on the cover and then go from there.
because at least you want to know that it's consistent from issue to issue.
Right.
Especially if you're trying to trick readers into think that it's a popular cartoon, and it isn't.
How long did it take them to care? Care enough to spend money. That's the real thing too.
When the books that had more than one color outsold,
Right.
the two color
We
books.
know in EC it was because they got so many bad color jobs back from the printer. It's in that book. So we know that, but they were also, not top of the food chain. Like Sleepy said before, read that Prince Valiant had a special color team at the printers. That's because Prince Valiant was that big and made that much money. So it's like, we're going to put our A-level guys on Prince Valiant. I imagine that EC Comics was getting the C-level guys. That's why they came up with the color guy. The Phantom has always baffled me a little bit too. I've never read a good Phantom comic.
Okay, let me put it this way. In a few countries, censors would really balk at vigilantes shooting people.
Mm-hmm.
And the Phantom never killed anybody. So it's safe.
Okay. Yeah. Bill Parker's credited with the colors on Whiz number 2, 1940.
Okay.
Was Bill Parker at the printers, or was he making color guides? That's the question, too.
All right. So Whiz Comics number 2.
Because color guides existed in comic strips. We know that. But not every comic strip had color guides.
Yeah, Bill Parker's credited for practically the entire issue. Let me see if we get some more stuff around here. Issue list. It's credited as writer on Bullet Man. So I suppose they did a little of everything. You know that it would be normal for a 5-page story to have 4 different artists on them, because somebody would be drawing a figure and somebody would be inking that figure, but the other figure in the same panel would be drawn in the and inked by somebody else, and in the next page they would probably switch. So if somebody has to call, if they're all doing the art all the same and they're getting paid the same no matter how many pages they do, might as well, or for the owner, might as well order them to color, because it's not an extra cost. At least not.
But you never hear about the colorist at like the Eisner studio.
Mm-hmm.
You never hear, and if the Fawcett had a big production. I don't know what the standard was. I don't know if there was a standard, because if you were like one of those studios packaging something for DC, you gave them finished black artwork, and also how would you color? But did they have photocopiers? Weren't a thing. You have to make a copy of the art in order to make a color guide. How do you do that? I mean, you could make stats, I think, that you could color on. But like photocopiers weren't common till I don't know when, the 50s. So you also had to make a copy of the art. And they were used to making, I know EC always made silver prints of the art. They may have been coloring on something like that. I don't know.
What is that thing called that they used to? They could do could use a mimeograph.
Mimeograph? Now that's a different thing. No, I don't think you can make a copy like artwork with a mimeograph.
No, you don't. You do a copy of the inked art.
Right. That's what you're trying to do.
Yeah. And then you color over the copy.
Right. But how did they make that copy? That's what I want to know. That's
With a
what I
mimeograph.
don't know. I don't think the mimeographs we used to use in the 70s, you couldn't do that with. And it did it in purple ink too. It was weird.
Right.
But I guess that wouldn't matter if they could ignore the color of the ink. And you'd need a decent paper to do it on. Because when we did it with photocopies, you couldn't even do it on regular photocopy paper. You had to put a special thicker watercolor paper in.
Yeah,
When
bond.
copies be
Do it
made from
bond.
carbon paper.
Now you couldn't make a copy of art with carbon paper.
No.
Yeah, mimeograph it smelled too. It smelled.
Yeah.
I'm not saying 100% they couldn't make it from a mimeograph, but I remember mimeographs were still around in the 70s when I was in school, and I remember them. And I don't think you could.
Yeah, my elementary school teachers were still using it in 1986.
Wow.
Yeah, we didn't have a photocopier in the elementary school in 1986.
Right. And like what is it? Stats and silver prints are the silver halide process. So that's on like photographic paper. So I don't know how good that. There was a thermofax process for making copies. In the 60s, I think the Xerox machine was around. So I don't know when it was invented, but I think it was in the 60s. It was already there. So that's an interesting thing, that you have to make a copy of the art, unless you somehow marked it up over the piece of art. You could do that possibly. That it would have to be full size. It would take longer. You could
they had
lay
tracing-
a piece of
Tracing
thin
paper or vellum.
tracing paper, something like that over it.
I could see it being vellum. I could
Or
see
a
it being
layout
vellum
bond.
as something that would basically, here, get teared off the cover. This is the guide, and then that gets tossed away.
Let me see if I can get that EC book. Is it in here?
Tit Goblin says his grandfather used thin glass to trace over his paintings and thick paper art, and then would light box it and carbon it. That sounds a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
To trace over his paintings.
Yeah, that sounds a
Foul
lot
Play
of work.
is the EC book. Let me see if I can find the. Oh, there we go. This is the Marie Severin section. I think that's her coloring.
Yeah. I
see above Severin hand colored. Oh, the silver print of Al Feldstein's Cover to Weird Science 15, done in 1979. So that's a later one. But that was done in here's. So we know how Marie Severin did it. On must be a silver print. Marie Severin hand colored. Okay, so they could color right over the silver prints. Silver print is a stat. But silver prints weren't cheap. There's young Marie Severin. So we know they definitely did them over at least. But was she the first one? Let me see. You can take me off solo now. I'm just going to read for a second.
Sleepy Reader says maybe they used to send notes to the printer with just the color percentages. But for that, they would need to do a color proof.
On what?
Yeah, they need to do a color proof.
I don't think they added the percentages till later on. Because I don't think like anybody had the experience with the color percentages. Where did she? Because you got to remember, this was early on. I just had her. Where'd she go? There we go. Oh yeah, she's got the percentages right on. No color, R2, B3, R3. There you go. Before Severin came on board in 1951, EC stories were routinely being colored by anonymous colorists at the engraving plant. So there were no color guides. As one might imagine, all too often the results were less than inspired. Marie Severin said in the EC fanzine Horror from the Crypt of Fear, number 9, 1997, that when Kelly green suits and yellow cars or just Mickey Mouse type coloring on realistic stories would appear, the EC boys would have a fit. They wanted some control so that the coloring would help tell the story along with the text and art. As the only woman actively involved in EC, apart from the secretaries, Severin had a very important role. Bill Gaines said EC lives that whenever we as males would tend to go off the deep end sex-wise, it was Marie who would come in and stamp our heads and refuse us to allow it to be done. Okay, so she so before Marie Severin did this, it was colored by another. But like I said, did that really happen with Superman too?
And there's no way that Dell would have let them do that, because Dell had the rights to all of the popular characters, and and those had to be on model. You couldn't even come draw your own way. I know that Super Rabbit at Marvel, Super Rabbit, which was owned by Marvel, changed the looks a couple of times depending on who was drawing him, but you couldn't do that with Donald Duck or Bugs Bunny. Those had to be on model, and that included coloring. So Western Publishing, who did the production work for the Dell comics, they would have to make sure that the coloring was right. So either they have somebody looking over the engraver's shoulders to make sure that the coloring is done right, or you just have the production team do it. I mean,
color
which one's
also,
well, the production team can't do the actual separations,
right? But they would need to do the color guides, so they would color the comics, the stories.
And then it might be something as simple as like in 1933, you have the printing company Eastern Color Printers, were basically the printers and the publishers. And so they already had in-house people that might have been selecting the colors that way. That's why they were printing the books.
But the color separators might be doing the colors.
Right, in-house of the
at the printers, yeah. But the publisher would have no control over the colors that way. That's like I'm just guessing, like EC Comics didn't have the A-level guys.
Yeah, and EC Comics didn't have permanent characters, so it's kind of okay. I mean, if you have an anonymous cowboy in one story and it is never coming back, or whatever colored shirt he has doesn't matter as long as it's only the same color inside that story.
It mattered because it didn't match the mood of the story. That's why Marie Severin started doing it.
Okay, but that would go back to what you said about somebody caring.
Right, somebody had to care.
But at Dell,
right,
because they were licensing known trademarks, the characters would have to be on model. That would have to include the coloring. So the production team would have to tell the printers what the colors were.
But do you think they only had to tell them that once, kind of thing? Like
no. They would have to tell them every time, because you never know who is going to color that week. It may not be the same guy, and the next guy may not care. So unless somebody's
but I'm thinking if it was for somebody like a license book, you might put your top guys on it.
Yeah, but might as well do the coloring job at the studio, because you have to send one guy over.
I'm just saying maybe they sent guides over for the color, like character guides.
Right.
You send character guides over to like you, let's just say you have no in-house colorist, or you have no, you're not making color guides for every issue. What you
Right.
would do is whoever the licensee sends you color guides, and you pass those color guides along to the printer, and the printer, the separators use those color guides. I'm not saying that's what happened. I'm just saying that's another way it could have gone
Could
for
be
10 years. Like I said, I
it
don't
doesn't
know when.
it doesn't feel safe to me.
Oh yeah, that's because you care. And so you're you're right. I mean, it depends on how good the guys are at the printer, how
Right.
good a system you have set up.
Sure.
If you have a
And it would
good
depend on the
system,
publisher. I mean,
yeah.
if you're Avon Communications,
Hmm.
you don't care.
Right,
If you're Dell, you have to care.
right,
If you're National, maybe you care, maybe you don't. But
right,
at the moment you have Superman, you better care.
right. But by the 60s, I think everybody had a colorist. There was freelance colorists doing everything. I'm just not sure if Marie Severin was she, like, we know she was the first to do it at EC, but was she among the first to do it ever? That's interesting. Yeah, I don't. All the people who would know are gone.
Yeah. If they were regular printing Donald Duck, you might have a one time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I mean. Yeah, maybe in the
Maybe.
best case that would work, but
And you never know.
yeah,
I mean, the guy who's in charge of keeping tabs on that at the printer is on vacation that week,
yeah,
and they hire and the guy who was actually doing the coloring
but
that week is a schmo, and he has no idea.
but you will also be getting color proofs before they go to press.
Hmm.
So editor gets back his color proofs. He marks up all the places where things are wrong, and sends it back, and they have to correct it.
Okay, but
So that's part of the process. Once again, you don't want that to happen if you're the
right,
publisher.
but it's
If it
different
happens
when you
too
know.
much, you
Right,
might
but
go
it's
for
different because the blue. One thing is the blue is losing resolution. Trash those copies. Get me 1,001s fresher with higher with more blue.
Yeah, but
Another
no,
thing is
you don't
this is
even
supposed to.
run. You don't run more than test copies.
Right.
The proofs are just test copies. They don't run the full print run until they get the nod.
Mm,
That's why proofs used to. Nowadays, you don't even get physical proofs anymore.
right.
You have to
Correct.
pay
You don't
extra
need.
for them.
Mm,
Yeah.
sure. But yeah, I don't. It seems to me if the guy if you need something to be blue and the guy colors it red, it's more work
Yeah.
to get
I,
to
I,
get the
I
proofs.
wonder at what point it becomes more work. Like there had to be a point. Was the point 1951? Was the point different? Because the point was 1951 for EC Comics. We know that.
Hmm.
I wonder what the point was at like Dell or DC,
Yeah,
or because you never
Do-
hear about old time colorists.
yeah. Donald says early Disney 4 colors are credited to Western Publishing Production Shop. Sure, but yeah, because Western Publishing did the production for the Dell Comics,
Right.
and
That
those have model guides.
right. That also either means they delivered finished black and white artwork to the printer, or they delivered finished black and white artwork plus color guides to the printer. We don't know about that plus color guides, so we don't know what they do. So the production could mean either one. So that we don't. That doesn't really give us the answer we're looking for.
Yeah, color. I'm pretty sure that quality control varied from publisher to
Yeah,
publisher.
it must
The
have.
smaller publishers who didn't have permanent characters wouldn't care, and the other publishers would depend on how big they were if they had permanent characters or not. So you know that National probably had to do it, and Dell definitely had to do it because you're doing
Yeah.
Bugs Bunny and Donald Duck. So there has to be some quality control that has to be done right at production level, because if you have everything, if you have anything that could be colored in error and you avoid it at the production, You don't have to think to think about having to do quality control at that level of quality control at the printer.
Mhm.
Because recoloring if you color a character red when it's supposed to be blue, and you have to recolor everything, you don't need all. That's more work
Yeah.
than.
But I think the first level of quality control, give them character guides, would take care of that. Like that. The first level of quality control you're talking about is you get the character guides from the licensor.
Mhm.
Licensee. Which one is it? I don't remember. And you give them to the printer so they know Donald Duck has blue pants. So it's never going to get him all colored with red pants or whatever. That would be like first level of quality control.
Right.
If you want more quality control than that, you got to pay for it. And
Right.
at some point, they said it's worth paying for it. I imagine by the 60s they were.
Yeah. Other non-Disney 4 colors are not credited.
Yeah.
Well, but we know that Western did the production for Old Elves.
Right. Whether that
So-
production included color guides or not, we don't know. Do any old color guides exist?
From the 40s.
Yeah, it's like, whoa. I mean, I saw Paul Becton throw out color guides in the 90s,
So yeah.
which broke my heart.
Yeah, but I'm going to bet that I am open to the idea that it's variable.
Yeah.
But the big ones probably had that level of quality control at production level.
Yeah, especially since I
Because
know color guides existed in comic strips. So
like
the
the
idea
further
is
right, you when you mention somebody has to care, yes, somebody has to care. But the further down the production line it is, especially as you move from one company to another, somebody is bound to not care.
Right.
And it's going to cost a lot of people a lot of money. So the more quality, if you need to have quality control, you better have it at a level that you can control.
Yeah. Like I said, I think it may have started when they had an extra guy. Were you saying something, Wilson?
Yeah, I was gonna say, didn't George Russo's color Batman #2?
No, he did background inks.
He did background inks, so he didn't.
Yeah, he did not color it.
Okay.
He made all the big moons. Whenever there was a moon drawn, he made it bigger.
Yeah, I haven't seen a color guide older than the 40s, 30s.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't seen any from the 30s.
Yeah, this one right here, was it new or old? Marie's original hand-colored silver print to the splash page. Weird fan, May, June 52. So this is the oldest color guide I've seen right here. So I don't know. I wonder if there's more. I have a Marie Severin individual book. I wonder if it's got more in there about her and color guides. I'll have to look.
Okay, so the Strauss Engraving Company has a creator page at the Grim Comics database. So Strauss Engraving Company, also known as Photochrome, was the company used by DC starting sometime around 1937 and ending about 1948 to do the coloring, color separations, band-aid shading, and other related coloring work for the publisher.
So DC may not have had color guides until after 1948.
Right, but you have a company. You have a company doing the same production work all the time.
Right.
So So in this case, you do have somebody in charge of it. It's just not at your level.
Somebody you can trust.
Right. Jack Adler is listed as an employee.
He was at DC. Jack Adler invented a lot of production techniques for comics.
So it probably came from working at Strauss.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, is that maybe some of these guys that worked at the printers themselves would eventually become the first colorists.
Mhm.
Jack Adler invented a lot of the techniques, and his boss took credit for them. Who's his boss? Saul. Was it Saul Harrison? Was he the one who was at DC?
Saul Harrison.
I think so. I think he was the production chief at DC. Yeah, right. Saul Brodsky was at Marvel. Saul Harrison was at DC. Saul Harrison was Jack Adler's boss, who's Howard Stern's cousin.
Really?
Yeah, he used to bring comics home for Howard Stern, give them to him. He was a generation above Howard Stern, so he was older. But yeah, I remember I was just reading some stuff with Jack Adler. I can't remember what they were now or where I read it, but Jack Adler invented some production techniques at DC Comics when he was there for ways of doing coloring and things, which makes sense that he worked at the color separator.
Mhm. So yeah, you do need, even if you pass it off to somebody else, even at that level, you need it's someone that you can trust. So
Right.
if you're national and you're working with Strauss Engraving Company, which probably is not something that weird. I mean, these guys who did the comics in the 1930s, if they didn't own a printer, they would be connected to a printer.
Right. Right.
So basically, it's just parts of the same production line to them.
So I wonder at the, what was the name of the place again?
Strauss.
Strauss. I wonder if at Strauss they did color guides or they just went right to whatever the process was.
Mhm.
Because the process is all in black and white. The process of hand separating, you're painting, well, you're either cutting ruby lith or you're painting with opaque ruby paint on acetate.
Mhm.
So you would be doing yourself a favor to figure out the colors first.
Right.
Interesting. The comic history minutia we dive into.
Uh-huh.
Let me show you the last 6 comics I got quickly before we end. We got Lazarus Fallen, issue number 3. This was a good issue. Our Forever Carlisle gets in a fight with another Lazarus super person from another family. There's a lot of like political intrigue in this one, as well as like superhero fights, kind of. But they're more super soldier fights. But that was a good issue of that. I'm glad it's back. And this first time I've seen an issue of this for a while. This is Dust to Dust. J.G. Jones on the art and part of the writing. This is the one that's a Dust Bowl drama about what is that? The Oklahoma Panhandle during the Great Depression. And in this issue, a whole bunch of rabbits die because they have a big roundup where they have to kill a whole bunch of rabbits before they eat all the crops. Fun, fun, fun. The latest issue of Monstrous, issue 59, one issue away from 60. Good stuff. Lots of different monsters inside of lots of different people in this high fantasy war intrigue.
So
book.
59. Does that seem like it's ending anytime soon?
No. I keep wondering when it's ending because it seems like a book that should have an ending, but it doesn't seem like it seems like it could end soon if they wanted to, but I don't know. They could keep it going if they wanted to, too. War can always take turns. Xander Cannon's Sleep, which is issue 4, which is about this guy right here who falls asleep, and he thinks when he falls asleep that a monster comes out and kills people because he keeps going to sleep and then waking up to a monster attacking his town, and he's a wreck and doesn't know. And the last issue ended in a cliffhanger with him hanging himself off a bridge, and this issue began with him on top of a pile of bodies in a cave. So he's like, oh my goodness, the monster must have come out and killed everyone, all the town. So Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees, Rites of Spring. This is one about our teddy bear serial killer, where all the art is done like this children's book. And this kind of the first issue was all about this woman trying to find her brother, who this guy killed in this small town. And then at the end of that issue, I don't even remember if the teddy bear is a male or female. I keep getting confused on that. Because it's a teddy bear. Who can tell?
Only you can prevent forest fires by killing all the potential arsonists.
There we go. And so at the end of last issue, she got a secret message to go visit this town where she might find a lead on her brother. She's been looking for like 7 years. And turns out it was a serial killer who sent her the message. We found out this issue. So at the end of last issue, she gets into the car with the serial killer. And this issue is all flashback to the serial killer. And at the end of the book, he sends her the message. So this one ends just where issue 1 ended too. So we still have that cliffhanger. And this is Vanishing Point. Mark Russell is our artist. And Jock, J-O-K, not J-O-C-K, is our artist. And these have been all like a single issue science fiction anthology stories. And this is the first one that's been hopeful. The first 3 were kind of downers. I liked them all. This one is about a robot. Is this robot alive or not? That's the question that this issue asks, and it has to do with the plot too. I won't give any of it away. Good issue. If you want something more hopeful than the first 3 issues, this is the issue for you, issue 4. So there you go.
I remember Jock doing the losers at Vertigo.
Okay, Jock, not the Joker, not the guy who drew Batman, Jock.
Yeah.
No, this is a different Jock. There's
Jock
the guy who drew Batman with the with that Joker cover that had like the bats flying out of it is J-O-C-K, Jock.
Right.
This is a completely different guy, J-O-K, Jock.
Ah, different Jock. Okay.
Just to confuse you. So that Jock and this Jock are 2 different guys.
Yes, I'm gonna start drawing in myself John Byrne, B-U-R-R-N.
There's already a John Burns, right, in
right.
England. Who just died recently, didn't he? Well, I mean recently, I mean sometime in the last 10 years.
Oh. Yeah, but he wouldn't be. Let me check. As long as I have the GCD open, I can check those things.
Mm-hmm.
John M. Burns. Yay, that died in 2023.
Okay, so I thought it was fairly recently, but my memory for fairly recently is blurry.
Yeah, because he wasn't young. I guess we know him in an American comics context where the British industry works more for America, but this guy would have been active way back then. He was born in 1938, so I don't know if I can. Yeah, okay. He has stories appearing in Wham #1 at IPC in 1964.
Wake me up before you go.
No. He drew something called Kelpie the Boy Wizard.
He was one of those guys whose name I always knew. Once again, our friend Bunch knew his work and would always say John Burns, not John Byrne, when he was talking about him.
He also did.
I learned his name.
Space Family Robinson for a UK magazine called Lady Penelope. This looks like a spin-off from the what is that thing called?
Lost to Space?
No. Lady Thunderbird.
I remember a Space Family Robinson book in the 60s.
Yeah,
from like Dell or someone.
Yeah, but this is not a Dell story. This story was made in the UK.
Lady Penelope,
From the
Thunderbirds.
Thunderbirds, yeah. Okay, and here's something called TV Century 21, starting in issue number 90. We're still in the 60s.
Huh.
And he's doing something called Catch or Kill. And yeah, there's oh man. So these stories are all made in the UK, and you have Fireball XL55, My Favorite Martian, Get Smart, Thunderbirds, The Munsters,
Lots
Daleks.
of American TV shows.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, because even Lady Penelope has Men from Uncle stories. And Beverly Hillbillies. So the Brits were doing stories with the American TV shows, and John Burns was working there. IPC at 28 years old. 27, actually. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, I didn't even think that they would have the credits, because getting credits for a lot of these British magazines is a real pain in the ass, especially the war comics from Amalgamated Press. If they were done by they don't have writing credits, and they have to figure out if it's an Argentinian artist that they've never heard of, but it's actually quite well known. Yeah, the Two Jocks. Yeah. I really like this issue of Vanishing Point.
Yeah, it was a good one. It was. I definitely enjoyed it. I mean, I liked the other three, but you might be right. This one might be the best. Like the other three were also a little sad.
And John Burns worked on the Seekers comic strip. So the Seekers was a long-running adventure strip with science fiction overtones in British newspapers. And that one, there's a 59-page story that was reprinted in a Portuguese comic. I'm pretty sure I saw this cover somewhere, but I don't have it. I don't have most of these comics now. But the magazine was well known back in the 70s.
Back in the 70s, we did things differently.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw a Frank Bellamy credit over there. Frank Bellamy used to do Garth, which was real popular over here.
Mm-hmm. Now I've got "Wake Me Up Before You Go" in my head. Going so, take me dancing tonight. Gonna hit that high.
Yeah, I've always "Wake Me Up Before You Go" is the type of song that gets people onto the dance floor in Portugal, and yet I have always hated it.
Nah. I'm not telling you it's my particular type of song, but I like it. Jitterbug, jitterbug. You put the boom boom into my heart.
Yeah,
You're not helping.
We're not meant to.
Yeah. Yeah, you're going to be kicked from the stream if you keep it up.
I think that might be all the lyrics I know to it.
No,
I also know you make the sun shine brighter than Doris Day. I forgot that one.
No, I prefer music produced by Stock Aitken and Waterman.
And that other guy in Wham UK, he went on to no fame after George Michael left.
But here's the funny thing. He made more money than George Michael.
Wow.
Not from Wham, but because he wrote the lyrics to Careless Whisper, which was George Michael's first solo song.
So he didn't have to work.
Yeah, he doesn't have to work. He retired. He married one of Bananarama. Bought a castle in southern England, and lived off of the residuals from the song. And since every late night romance radio station, romantic music radio station plays that thing, he keeps getting checks. Large ones too.
Back in the days when the individuals, artists and writers and singers could make money from music. Before streaming. took it all from them.
Before the love checks.
Yeah. The love checks.
Those are real checks. Oh, I forgot to remind you to buy the comic that my comic dealer did. The
Oh,
one about
yeah.
the one with the Jack Kirby, the Jack
Right. I
Kirby
saw it
lookalike.
was coming out, but I wasn't able to missed final order cutoff on it.
Yeah.
I'll have to track
Mm,
it down again.
yeah.
The Man Who Dreamed Tomorrow, was that it?
The Man Who Dreamt the Impossible.
The Man Who Dreamt the Impossible. I
Here's
saw
the
it was
thing.
I think I saw it was coming out, but I'm like, my shop didn't get it in. I looked around.
Yeah,
Didn't.
they may have only special ordered because that thing has a problem. It's
Yeah.
32 pages. It's 32 pages, but it's $10.
Yeah. I'll have them back order it for me. Let me write it down so I remember.
Yeah.
The
Speaking of
Man
Jack,
Who
it was
Dreamt
his
Tomorrow.
birthday yesterday.
The Man Who Dreamt the Impossible.
Oh, the man dreamt the impossible.
Yeah, writer Mario Freitas.
And it's from Image, I think I saw it.
Yeah, and artist Lucas Pereira.
I just need the title and publisher.
Tit Goblin is paralyzed by Whim Rhythms now.
Hopefully hopefully it's still there for reorder.
So we were told Rhythm was going to get you.
We're a rhythm nation.
Wait, Rhythm's Gonna Get You was by Gloria Estefan.
Yeah, but we were warned the Rhythm was going to get you.
Wasn't Rhythm Nation by the other Janet Jackson? Not J.J. Jackson, the colorist?
Yes.
They have it in my. Oh, it's oversized. Oh, that's cool.
Okay. So I guess being oversized, the $10 is less of an issue.
Yeah,
but it's gonna be a bitch to store it, right? Because you can put it with the other ones.
Yep. Put it in my Treasury Edition section.
Yeah. Yeah, right. Because that thing was album size over here.
Mm-hmm. Do.
Mario is determined to tell the truth about Jack Kirby having created everything. Because he was the organizer for the Kirby's 100th anniversary art exhibit.
Coming in with his blitz of creation.
Mm-hmm. And he invited the guys from the Kirby Museum over here to do the tour. And Mike Royer had a panel which I recorded. It should still be on my channel somewhere.
Mike Royer. You never hear much about Mike Royer, like on his own.
Mm-hmm.
Always in connection with Jack Kirby.
Well, he did stuff at Western because he doesn't have much. He's not Klaus Jensen when inking. He adapts his inking to suit the penciler.
Right.
So he enhances the penciler's natural style.
How old was he in the 70s? I always assumed he was a young guy because I'd never heard of him before.
Yeah, he was. If he wasn't in his late 20s, he was in his early 30s.
Okay.
So he showed us a picture of his from the time. Long hair, cowboy hat. He said he was his hippie look.
That's me on a Thursday. I can show you my cowboy hat. I usually only wear it with my duster, but
but you don't look like a hippie. You look like an artist.
Sometimes it's fun to wear a cowboy hat and a duster in New York City.
I think Royer in the 90s was working. He was doing production product design and logo design for Disney. That's what he said he was doing circa 1990.
I have a piece of artwork, Disney artwork from Mike. When I met him in San Diego back in the 90s, he was selling his, I guess you could call them rejected Disney art. It was basically, it had like a stamp on it that said rejected, so he was just getting rid of these. So I bought a Mickey Mouse that Mickey Mouse is sitting on his bed, rubbing his feet like after a long day type of thing. And I was like, yes, I want to purchase that because that's how I feel after this long convention. And the funny thing is like it was drawn with whatever markers, so it's fading. It went from black to a light brown, and now there's just portions of it. You can still tell that it's Mickey Mouse, but it's like it has since faded. It's like, it was a great.
I hope you got a chance to scan it in.
I'm almost sure I did. Or if not, I took a picture of it.
Royer inked Russ Manning on Tarzan, and it worked for Warren. Yeah, like I said, he enhances the natural art. So he makes Russ Manning seem even more three-dimensional. And if there was one artist that had actual talent working at Dell at the time, it was Russ Manning. Royer told a story. He was passing by Kirby's house a week before he died, and he thought, maybe I should drop in. But since he was from the South, it'll be impolite to drop in and announce. So he didn't. And he was still kicking himself over it because he then told Roz, I didn't want to just show up and announce. I'm sorry. No, you should have come. Jack would have loved to see.
Yeah. He was a little too polite. It happens.
Yeah, but you always hear stories about random people showing up at the house and Roz inviting them in. So
so somebody she actually knows.
Yeah.
Isn't a random. That'd probably be fine. But if you ever want to know something about EC Comics, this is a pretty good book. Foul Play. The Art and Artists of the Notorious 1950s EC Comics by Grant Geissman, Geissman.
I tried to share the link from Image's website that shows the cover for that book. Unfortunately, I guess because we're on Pablo's channel, that I didn't get the permission, so I sent it over to you via private chat.
Okay, I'm gonna put it on a. All right, there it goes.
So
there we
people
go.
want to see what the cover looks like, so they want to keep an eye out for it. And as he said, it's an oversized book.
You guys will finally own a Portuguese comic.
Finally, after all these years.
The thing I never had, the thing that I never knew I needed. Yeah.
You know what's weird? I'm looking at this Weird Science hand-covered silver print, and the colors 100Y, 25B, 100Y are off to the side on a piece of paper that's off to the side. That looks like a receipt because you can see the grid on the other side. Like you can see through the paper. You know how old handwritten receipts used to have a grid on them? That's what she used. That's what she taped to the silver print to write the notes on. Was an old receipt.
Yeah, you use what was available to you.
Yeah.
They were saying that Steve Ditko was drawing basically on copy paper. He was basically drawing it to the comic size and just bringing in the copy paper.
The number of people who draw on copy/inkjet paper baffles me. It's such bad paper. I'm like, why are you drawing on this? It's what was around.
Yeah, if you have a ream of it and it was
Yeah.
cheap, it was less expensive than anything else, use what you have. I know
Yep.
we got a few um, images from like the Kubert brothers on cardboard because they were going for some kind of odd effect. They drew on cardboard and construction paper.
You know what I always want to draw on? I just got some today. When you get a package and it's got that brown packing paper in there,
Yes.
you flatten it out. I'm always like, I can make a nice drawing on this. I never do. I just put it in the recycling, but I'm like,
Yeah. I think they also call that butcher paper.
Butcher paper is waxed.
Is it waxed?
Yeah.
Okay.
Butcher paper is usually waxed. But same idea. Paper
Yeah,
in that
'cause
long
I
roll.
know
With the,
I've had that type of paper, not waxed, but
right.
used for the construction workers had used those to like lay on the floor,
Oh yeah.
tape it to the floor to keep paint and stuff like that
Right.
off it, or the dust while they're walking back and forth. I
Yeah, it's
remember
cheap
once they
paper
left,
you
they
use
once
for
left
everything.
a roll of that, and it's like, ooh, this is nice paper. And I know that the first time I found that type of paper, I found it in my closet because the old lady that lived in the building before me, she used to line the closet with that type of paper.
Ah.
And she would thumbtack the closet walls with that paper so it wouldn't rub against her clothes or something.
Okay. Or you can get it in your Amazon packages these days as padding.
I do have a few that I end up taking because it was, I forget what I bought, but they wrapped it up in that type of paper.
Right.
And it was like, as I was unwrapping, it's like, this is a whole roll of, a continuous roll. So it's like, I
Yeah.
was just because it's pre-folded and it has perforations on it. So you could cut small squares out of it. So I was like, OCD or whatever. I was taking it out of the box and I just started folding it over and made just a flat piece of paper. It's like,
Yeah.
I can't toss this out now. I got to use this for something. Don't know what. I think I hang on to it for like 3
Like, this
years
is pretty
before I
good brown
end up
paper.
tossing it. Yeah. And it's funny because like you get something like, this is a nice box. I can
Yeah.
use it for something.
That's a meme I saw once.
Mhm.
Somebody made a meme of things they don't teach you, then they never taught you about adult life. And it's like, should I throw this box out? It's a really good box.
Mhm.
The decisions you have to make.
Oh yeah. And it kind of naturally shows up, and it's like, I think I want to keep this box. It's like, where does this wire go to? They should be in the box of wires.
The box of wires.
All
Time
right.
for balloons.
Time for balloons.
Or baby killers, as my sister was calling them.
Mm-hmm.
It was my sister's grandson's first birthday, and she's like, and his parents had all balloons out, and she's like, balloons are baby killers. You can't have balloons at a first birthday. So she went and took all the balloons and popped them and threw them away. So I was like, yep, that's what they are now, baby killers. Here's some baby killers for you.
She sat there, took out the old lawn darts, and started throwing them at the balloons.
And this is my sister Jody, who's afraid of balloons because she's afraid of them popping and startling her. So she doesn't like
Right.
balloons. So she had to. I don't think she was popping them. What was she? She was like cutting them to untie them or something.
Ted Goblin got yelled at for spilling beet juice over his inherited tablecloth that his grandmother traded from a Portuguese fisherman. Well, you deserved it.
Beet juice doesn't come out of anything.
You added character to it. You were painting even back then.
How dare you sully the tablecloth? Well, I'll be thinking about it while I'm popping E at the rave party.
By the way, Doing this show might be the longest time I sit down for all week.
Mhm.
I usually
Yeah.
don't sit.
One of
So-
these days, we're going to try something. You're going to take a 2.5 hour long walk. Take the cell phone with you,
Ah.
and we do the show from you do the show from while getting fresh air.
The show from the road.
It'll be a road show. Well, we're taking this show on the road. Too bad. So thank you for stopping by.
We'll be on my
And we will-
channel next week.
No, I need it on my channel next week because I won't be here in 2 weeks' time.
Okay, your channel next week? No problem.
Mhm.
All right.
So same bad time, same bad channel.
We'll
See ya.
Have a
catch
great
you
weekend.
then.